Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes Shadow for part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Naruto? A calm voice called. Yes, father? A small voice replied. A 5-year-old Naruto sat cross-legged on a brown couch with his back towards the kitchen. To the boy's right was a small dining room with a square table and 4 green chairs. Behind him was a small standard kitchen. Across were another couch and a bookshelf behind that. Naruto had an unrolled scroll in his lap. Minato appeared from the kitchen wearing a pink apron over a standard shinobi uniform, holding a plate and a small dish rag. The elder blonde cocked his head at the scroll his son was reading and walked over so that he stood beside him. What have I told you about going into my library? Minato asked. No, father. I didn't go in your library. I found the scroll in my room, Naruto explained without looking up from the scroll. In your room? Minato placed a small plate and dish rag on the coffee table between the 2 couches and sat down beside his son. He picked up an end of the scroll and started reading. It's from Mom, Naruto whispered. Minato agreed in his head that the scroll was written to Naruto from Kushina. He wondered when Kushina had written it. May I? Minato asked, picking up the scroll. Naruto nodded as Minato pulled the scroll into his lap. My dearest Naruto, if you are reading this, it means something has happened to your father or I. There are several things I want you to know. The first is that we loved you very much. The second is to never give up on your dreams. Your father's dream of becoming Hokage came true, yours can too. When you are older, ask the current Hokage for information on your parents, especially me. I don't know how old you will be when you read this, but I assume too young to know many things about me. If your father is still alive, have him explain why I have moved on to the next world when you are older. I do hope that your father is still alive. A young boy needs his father. There are several scrolls I have written for you about my past and your father's, in case anything ever happens to me. They are stored in a small scroll in your father's library. If your father is alive, ask him for them. If not, ask the current Hokage. Naruto, I loved you very much and there is not a thing you could do to change that. Your loving mother. Kushina. Minato blinked at the scroll. He continued to read it over and over again. After a few minutes, he looked at his son. Naruto gave him a worried look, which he returned with a smile. Naruto, how much do you know about your mother? Minato asked, handing back the scroll. Not very much, father. Naruto shook his head as he pulled the scroll into his lap. I see. Minato pulled his son into his lap so the little blonde was sitting across his knees. Naruto looked up at his father. He looks so much like Kushina, but acts too much like me. Your mother was the most beautiful woman in village. She was a little rambunctious at times, but very loving. She loved you so much. Minato smiled at his son. What happened to mother? Naruto asked. Minato sighed. He knew Naruto was too young to understand what happened that night. He was also too young to know about the Kyuubi. One day he would explain everything to Naruto, but today was not that day. I'm sorry, Naruto, Minato shook his head, you're a little young to understand. Someday I will explain everything. For Naruto's age, he was surprisingly quiet and mature. He understood that his father thought he was too young, so he didn't protest. Naruto just nodded in agreement, surprising Minato. Still sitting on his father's lap, he pulled the scroll over and re-rolled it. They sat there for a long time, until Naruto finally hopped down. What's for dinner? Naruto asked quietly. Your favorite, Minato replied, standing up. The older blonde grabbed Naruto's hand and walked him into the kitchen. Ramen? Naruto's eyes brightened up as he walked into the kitchen and smelled the ramen cooking. Although Naruto was mature for his age, he was still simple-minded. Yes, your mom's famous recipe, Minato smiled down at his son. The next morning, Naruto sat cross-legged with another scroll in his lap, in his father's office. Because he was normally so quiet, no one ever really noticed him, or chose not to. Minato sat at his desk doing the paperwork quietly. Suddenly Minato looked up at his son, and frowned. A young boy his age shouldn't want to sit and read all the time. Minato shook his head. Even when he was young, he still wanted to go and play with the others his age. Naruto? Don't you have any friend to play with outside? Minato asked. Naruto looked up from the scroll and shook his head. No, I don't have any friends. What about Kiba? And Shikamaru? Minato questioned. I don't know. They used to play with me and now they don't. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Well, did you do something to upset them? Minato cocked his head. I don't think so, Naruto replied. Maybe I'll ask Shikaku or Tsum, what's going on, Minato said to himself. Please don't, father, Naruto said. Why? Minato asked. I can make new friends, father, Naruto lied. I see, Minato nodded and went back to his paperwork. Naruto went back to reading the scroll. Occasionally Minato would glance up at his son. Several hours passed by. Naruto would exchange the scroll for a new one every now and then, checking first with his father to make sure he could read those scrolls. Naruto now sat in the same position he has been. Father? Naruto asked. Minato looked up at his son. Yes? Why am I named Uzumaki and you Namikaze? Naruto asked. Minato blinked at his son. He didn't think Naruto would notice yet. Minato smiled and motioned for his son to come over. The little one did as he was told, and trotted over to his father. Minato helped his son onto his lap. I didn't think you would notice just yet, Minato admitted, but your mother thought it was a good idea for you to be named after her and not me. But why? Naruto blinked, confused. Because I have a lot of enemies and there aren't a lot of Namikaze in the world. If you were a Namikaze then, a lot of my enemies would come after you to get to me, Minato explained. Naruto nodded. I see. But when you are older and able to defend yourself properly, you can change your name to Namikaze, if you would like. Minato smiled and brushed a few strands of hair out of Naruto's face. Naruto smiled and nodded again. Minato brushed a few more strands of hair out of Naruto's face and laughed. You did get my unmanaged hair, you need a haircut. Naruto's eyes widened and both hands flew up to his hair, making Minato laugh even more. Naruto jumped down from his father's lap and ran to the door. Unlike Minato, Naruto wasn't very tall and being only 5, he couldn't reach the door handle. Minato came up behind the little blonde and scooped him up in his arms, both still laughing. Once Minato had stopped laughing, he looked at Naruto, who was still laughing, with a loving look. He laughs just like Kushina too. Naruto? Minato asked, pulling Naruto out of his laughing fit. Yes? Naruto replied. Would you like me to enroll you in the academy? Minato asked. Naruto's eye widened and a large grin spread across his face. Yes. Minato laughed again. All right, I will enroll you and you can start this next coming year. Naruto's grin got even bigger, and he threw his hands around his father's neck. Thank you, Tu-san. Tu-san? You never call me Tu-san. Usually it's father or Oto-san. Why the sudden change? Minato laughed. Naruto pulled back and looked at his father with his arms still around his neck. He honestly couldn't think of a reason why, so he just shrugged. Minato smiled gently at the boy. You don't have to be so formal with me, you know? Naruto nodded then smiled. 6 years later. Naruto! Iruka yelled as he chased a blonde preteen. Naruto glanced back at his sensei. He was catching up. Of course, he would catch up. He's a Chunin and Naruto was still an academy student. Did he really think he could outrun his sensei? No, but Naruto firmly believed he could outmaneuver him. Naruto glanced around to try and find a way to escape Iruka-sensei, but found none. For now, he just kept running. Naruto! I said come back here! Iruka continued to yell. Naruto glanced back once more and shook his head. He continued to run, that is until he ran into something, or rather someone. Naruto bounced back and landed on his butt. The blonde put his hand up to his head to steady himself, and then snuck a glance at he ran into. At the sight of the person's face, Naruto looked away as Iruka finally caught up to Naruto. Is there a problem here? The voice called. No, Hokage-sama, Iruka bowed. One of the academy's students refused to take the graduating exam and bolted from the classroom. Nothing to worry about. I see, Minato nodded then pointed to Naruto who still sat on the ground, and this would be the student? Yes, sir, Iruka nodded then glanced at the young boy. Come on, Naruto. Let's get back to the academy. It's alright, Iruka, Minato smiled. I'll speak with Naruto. But Iruka started, then just nodded in agreement. He turned around and jogged back to the academy where he had students waiting on him. Naruto? Minato crouched down in front of the little blonde. Naruto looked up and caught his father's gaze. Minato sighed. Throughout this whole time, Naruto had not said a word. Minato was beginning to get worried. Naruto usually only spoke at home, and never spoke when he was out in the village. He held out his hand to help the little blonde up. Naruto took it, and soon they were walking side by side. Naruto, this is the third year in a row that you have refused to take the graduation exam, Minato stated as they walked back to their house. The elder caught a glance at his son. Naruto was walking slowly with his hands in his pockets and looking down. Something was bothering him, and Minato was determined to find out. The Hokage sighed. You're not going to talk unless we are at home, are you? Naruto, who was taken by surprise, stopped and looked up at his father. He blinked in confusion. Was he really that quiet outside of his home? Yeah, he didn't like the village, but he didn't think the difference in personalities was that noticeable. Yes, I have noticed that you rarely speak outside of our home, Minato stated, seeing Naruto's surprise. Naruto looked away and continued walking, until Minato placed his hand on his shoulder, and they flashed to their home. Naruto, will you talk now? Minato asked as he crouched down in front of the little blonde. Yes, father, Naruto replied. What have I said about being so formal with me? Minato's eyes narrowed slightly. I'm sorry, Tusan, Naruto looked down. Minato sighed, so tell me, why have you to refuse to take the exam again? For the third time, might I add. I don't want to graduate yet, Naruto answered. Why? Minato pushed. Because I want to graduate with people my own age, Naruto replied quietly. I don't like the class I am in, and they don't like me. They don't like you? Minato repeated. No, Naruto shook his head as he remembered the cold stares and whispering he always hears around the academy and out in the village. Why not? I don't know, Tusan, Naruto shook his head. Minato sighed again. Usually by now, Minato wanted to contact the academy and find out what was going on, but Naruto would normally stop him. He would tell his father, he would take care of it, or he would make new friends. Naruto, I really do want to talk to your sensei, Minato tried again. Please don't, father, Naruto begged. Alright, but next year, you promise me that you will take the exam, alright? Minato smiled. Naruto nodded as Minato pulled him in a hug. Naruto pulled back and stared into his father's eyes. Tusan? HM? Minato replied, cocking his head. You're worried about me? Naruto asked. Minato gave the boy a sheepish smile and nodded. You're just so quiet all the time, especially when we are around the village. Oh, Naruto nodded. Can you tell me why? Minato asked. Naruto just shook his head. Minato chuckled slightly. Why not? Naruto just shook his head again. Minato sighed in defeat. Maybe one day Naruto will tell him. A few months later, Naruto had started back at the academy again. It was October, and Naruto knew what would come on the 10th day of October. It was a day he secretly dreaded. He never understood why that day was so much worse than the rest, besides the fact it was his birthday. Although Naruto hated that day, his father never seems to catch on, until this particular year. The year Naruto turned 12 years old. Every year Minato would go to the yearly festival to celebrate the defeat of the Kyuubi, leaving Naruto at home per his request. It was a mystery to Minato as to why Naruto never wanted to go to the festival. As far as he knew, Naruto didn't have any bad memories of that day like Minato did. Of course, being the Hokage and the savoir of that day, Minato reluctantly had to attend. So like every year, Minato would dress in his formal robes. The top wrapped around his body and was a light blue color that went past his hips. It had a black band in the center. The pants were the same color as the top and went to his ankles. He wore a pair of black ninja sandals. Over the top was a long, sleeveless, white cloak that was piped with dark blue. The back of the cloak had the words 4th Hokage on the back. Minato stepped out of the long hallway and saw his son sitting on the couch with the scroll from Kushina in his lap. Minato smiled gently as Naruto read the scroll over and over again. Minato walked over and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. Naruto looked up at his father and gave him a weak smile, which Minato returned. Naruto, I am going to festival. They are expecting me soon. Are you sure you don't want to come this year? Minato asked. Naruto shook his head. Unknown to Minato, the young boy would be safer at their home than out in the village. Minato sighed and nodded. What would you like for your birthday this year? Minato asked, kneeling beside the couch. Naruto stared at his father for a minute, then to the scroll. Naruto knew exactly what he wanted from his father this year. I want to know everything, Naruto murmured, still looking down at the scroll. What do you mean? Minato asked. Naruto didn't reply. He needs to know what the village does. But the village doesn't know who I am. They just think I am demon. Why? Why do they treat me this way? Naruto thought to himself. Naruto clenched his fists, which startled Minato. I want to know what happened to Mom, Naruto finally answered. Minato nodded. I see. Anything else? I want to know why the villagers treat me so badly, Naruto continued. Minato's face suddenly turned serious. What are you talking about, Naruto? Never mind, Naruto shook his head. Minato suddenly grabbed both of Naruto's shoulders so that the boy faced him. He searched Naruto's eyes for any emotion, but all he found was a blank stare. Minato's face went from serious to worried, then mad. Naruto, you need to explain, Minato demanded. I said never mind, Otosan, Naruto replied, unshaken by Minato's harsh voice. Minato took a deep breath and looked over at the clock in the kitchen. He needed to go, or the ANBU would start to look for him. Minato hesitated before letting Naruto go and standing up. We will talk about this when I get home, understood? Minato stated. Hi, Naruto nodded. I'll be back soon, Minato softened. Okay, Naruto nodded again, still not looking at his father. Minato stepped outside his house and placed the necessary seals to protect his son. Then he called for an ANBU member, which happened to be an old student of his. Kakashi, keep an eye on Naruto, Minato ordered. Make sure no villager comes near him, understood? Hi, the silver-haired ANBU member replied and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Minato sighed. At least Naruto would be safe until he returned. Minato turned and headed to the festival. He and his son would have a long talk when he returned. When Minato returned that night, he found Naruto already fast asleep in his bed. He seemed to be safe and unharmed. Minato pulled the yellow comforter up and covered the rest of his son, carefully not to wake him. Their conversation will just have to wait till the morning, but he needs to have a conversation with a certain ANBU member. Minato walked out of Naruto's bedroom and quietly shut his door. Making his way down the hall, he searched for any chakra signatures. Once he reached the living room, he called for Kakashi. The silver-haired appeared in a puff of smoke. Kakashi, any happened tonight? Minato asked. You're not going to like the answer, sensei, Kakashi replied. Kakashi, Minato said in a warning voice. A few villagers tried to come near the house, with the intent to. Kakashi trailed off. How many is a few? Minato asked. 17, sir, Kakashi replied. 17? Minato almost yelled, but remembering his son was sleeping, he went back to using a normal voice. Well, those are the ones that got Pa the first set of guards, sir, Kakashi explained. Minato placed his hand on his head and sighed. How many total tried to harm my son? 32 total, sir, Kakashi replied simply. 32, Minato breathed out. After several moments of silence, Minato dismissed Kakashi after thanking him for protecting his son. Minato checked on his son one last time before heading off to bed himself. Minato sat dining room table with a simple bowl of rice in front of him. His hands were laced together in front of his face. His expression told that he was in deep thought about the information he had received the night before. Villagers had come after his son. The Hokage's son. How could I not have known about this? I'm the fucking Hokage, for Kami's sake. How could I not see the way the villagers had treated Naruto? Minato slammed his fist on the table, knocking over the bowl of rice. You could say he was more than upset with himself. He was sucked out of his thoughts when he realized his son was still sleeping. The man sighed and cleaned up the rice. Is this why Naruto's always so quiet in the village? Minato shook his head as everything started to make sense. The reason Naruto was always so quiet when he was outside their home. The reason Naruto never liked celebrating his birthday on his birthday. The reason Naruto rarely went out in the village. The reason Naruto didn't have many friends, or why he lost his friends rather quickly. Minato always thought he caught on to things like that pretty quickly, but how could he have missed this? Minato thought about it a moment, and then the answer came. Naruto was never in the village with Minato. He rarely saw Naruto outside of their own home. Did Naruto do this on purpose? Or was it simply a coincidence? Minato was shaken out of his thoughts again, when he heard little feet pad down the hallway. Soon a young blonde appeared in the doorframe. The elder smiled at the young boy and motioned for him to sit down. Are you hungry? Minato asked as Naruto took a seat. The young blonde shook his head. No. Minato sighed. about last night. Don't worry about it, Naruto interrupted, looking into his lap. Minato stared at his son, waiting for Naruto to look at him. When Naruto did, Minato finally saw the pain in his son's eyes. Why, Naruto? Minato pushed. It's nothing I can't handle, Naruto stated. I am the fourth Hokage's son after all. Naruto, I don't want to being afraid of the villagers. Minato just about yelled. It's not the villagers, Naruto whispered, they just make empty threats. It's not the villagers? Minato repeated, what do you mean empty threat? What do they do? They just call me a demon. They tell me I murdered a bunch of people, things like that. The villagers have never caused physical harm to me, Naruto explained. I see, Minato's anger was starting to rise again, but he didn't want to scare his son, so he pushed it back down and regained his composure. Has anyone ever caused you physical harm? Naruto nodded slightly. It's not the villagers? Minato reassured, becoming angrier as he realized the only people who would cause physical harm to his son if it weren't the villagers. Naruto shook his head and looked into his lap. The young blonde played with his fingers, hoping his father wouldn't ask the question, but... Then who is it, son? Minato asked. The shinobi, Naruto said, barely audible. Minato's eyes widened. How could the shinobi attack his son? How could his men attack his own son? Minato regained his composure once more. He was never the one to lose his temper. That was until it came to his son. Anyone in particular? Minato asked. The younger ones, Naruto answered. The younger ones? Like who? Minato pushed. Naruto said, looking around, avoiding his father's eyes. Naruto, Minato warned. Who? Mizuki-sensei, Naruto whispered. Mizuki? Your teacher at the academy? Minato asked. Naruto nodded, looking down into his lap. His long hair shaded his eyes. Yes, he beats me sometimes after school, Naruto stuttered. He beats you? Minato asked as his voice became shaken. His own sensei beats him? How did I not notice? Naruto nodded, unsure of his own voice. Minato suddenly stood up, knocking over his chair. Naruto, surprised at sudden noise and movement, shot his head up. Minato could now see the tears that were streaking down his son's face. Minato walked over to him and pulled him into his arms. How could he let his son get this hurt by the village he was in charge of? Minato didn't know, but he did know that he would do something about it. The young boy continued to cry into his father's chest. Naruto always kept all the emotion from the beatings and name-calling bottled up. He never wanted his father to know, for reasons he wasn't sure of. He assumed it was because he didn't want his father feeling like a terrible Hokage. But again, this was just an assumption. Maybe it was because he was embarrassed that he couldn't protect himself. Whatever the reason, Naruto had one thing that he swore never to tell his father, and even now he didn't want him to know. Naruto soon fell asleep in Minato's arms. Minato had carried his son to the couch, and he held his broken son for what seemed like an eternity, during which the anger that Minato felt towards those who want to harm his son only grew. The Hokage didn't know exactly what he was going to do, but he was determined to do something. Minato sat up quietly as the most important question came to his mind. Why are the villagers treating Naruto this way? Minato closed his eyes and furrowed his eyebrows when he came up with the answer. The Kyuubi. The villagers somehow knew Naruto was the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi. Minato realized this is the very reason why Kushina kept it a secret. She would have gotten the same treatment from the village. Or maybe not, the Kyuubi never attacked the village before that night, so the villagers had no reason to hate her as much as they do Naruto. Even so, she still would have gotten similar treatment for being a Jinchuriki. The more and more Minato thought about the whole situation, the more questions he would come up with. Was it all the villagers? How did they know? When did the treatment start? Have a lot of the shinobi physically harmed Naruto, like Mizuki had? Why didn't Naruto tell him? Hundreds of questions like these ran through Minato's mind. Minato wanted to see firsthand how the villagers and the shinobi treated Naruto. Would they treat him the same if he was around? Of course not, but Minato needed to know. So that meant Minato would have to send Naruto into the village by himself. He knew how much pain this would cause his son, but he needed to confirm this. He knew how much he was asking of his son. Of course, if someone tries to harm him, the Hokage himself would just have to step in. Minato sighed, as he knew what he had to do. Naruto? He gently shook his son to wake him. Naruto's red swollen eyes slowly opened as he tilted his head to look at his dad. Yes, Tsusan? I need you to do something for me, Minato reluctantly said. What? Naruto asked quietly. Minato closed his eyes and slowly opened them again. He prepared himself to ask his son the unthinkable. Naruto did as he was told, and walked through the village without any protection. He knew what was coming, and he just prepared himself for it. When his father had asked him to show him how the villagers treated him, Naruto thought his father didn't believe that his villagers or shinobi would do something like that to his son. That is until Minato explained that he had to have evidence to punish someone. It was just politics. Naruto understood and did what he was told. As Naruto walked, he glanced around and found the villagers were giving him those icy stares like they always did. Naruto wasn't too worried about being hurt. He was more worried about his father finding out the one thing Naruto wanted to keep hidden. A few villagers shouted at him, calling him a demon and things alike. Naruto was praying his father was hearing all of this, and noticed the glares and stares he received. Naruto sighed to himself and continued walking. He was replaying the scene where his father asked him to do this for him. Naruto remembered his father promising to explain everything once they returned home. He promised him that he would explain why the villagers treated him badly. Why Mizuki had beaten him. Why they called him a demon. Naruto was silently hoping he wasn't actually a demon like the villagers often told him he was. Naruto looked at the shop he walked by and noticed a familiar ANBU mask hanging on display in the shop. It was similar to the one his favorite silver-haired ANBU member wore. It reminded him of the man who was always assigned to watch him when his father was away. Naruto smiled and walked up to the counter, but he wasn't expecting any type of customer service. This was a good way to show his father how the villagers would interact with him. Excuse me, sir, Naruto said as he approached the counter. A large man turned around and glared at the blonde. What do you want, demon brat? The man yelled, causing a few people to turn around and stare at the scene. Naruto acted like nothing was wrong and just continued, I was wondering how much that mask was. Naruto pointed to the ANBU mask. The man reached up and grabbed the mask. You want this? Naruto nodded, but suddenly the man pushed him out of the shop. Naruto landed on his hind end with a thud. Naruto put both hands behind him to steady him. Then felt something hard hit his head. He lifted his hand to the place where he was hit. He looked over and noticed the mask was sitting next to him. The man had thrown the mask at him. Naruto thought he was going to be hit again as the man stepped out from behind the counter. Naruto closed his eyes as he prepared for the worst, but nothing came. Naruto opened his eyes to see a familiar cloak in front of him. That's not how you treat a child, a voice boomed. Naruto knew that voice all too well. His father was really mad. Hokage-sama, the man stuttered as he backed up slightly. Minato turned around and crouched down in front of Naruto and offered his hand. Naruto grabbed the mask and then took his father's hand. They both stood up and turned to face the large man. Naruto tried to hand the mask back, but Minato stopped him. The elder pulled out some money, enough to cover the cost. Then he turned to his son and pulled him away from the scene. A few steps later, the two blondes flashed back to their home. Naruto hung his head and stared at the mask. He suddenly felt a pair of arms around him. I am so sorry, Naruto, Minato whispered. I had no idea the villagers treated you this way. Naruto pushed his father off of him. Then nothing you can do. Minato blinked at his son in surprise. What do you mean? Unless you are with me all the time, the villagers will continue to treat me this way. That is until they come to acknowledge me, Naruto explained. Minato sighed, but I can do something about the shinobi who are bothering you. What are you going to do? Naruto asked. Well, beating the Hokage's son can be considered treason, Minato explained. No, Naruto said. Even someone as young as Naruto knew what would happen if you were found to be treasonous. What? Minato was again surprised by Naruto's actions. Please don't kill them, Naruto begged. Minato sighed. Alright, but I will punish them. Naruto nodded, then pulled the mask to his chest and held it close. Thank you for the mask, Tsusan. Minato chuckled lightly. You're welcome, son. Tomorrow you will be taking the graduation exam to become a genin. I am sure you are all prepared enough to take the exam. Iruka spoke to his class, and then glanced over at Naruto. Are you going to take the exam this year, Naruto? The blonde looked up at his sensei with a bored expression on his face. He glanced around and noticed that his classmates were now staring at him, waiting for an answer. Naruto was sitting in the back with a few other students, loosely paying attention. The later-known Rookie 9 was seated in various positions. Shikamaru and Choji were of course sitting together on one side of Naruto. Ino and Sakura had fought over who gets to sit by Sasuke, which neither one won. Kiba was sitting and playing with his dog. Everyone else was seated around the room. Before he could speak, someone interrupted him. I don't see why he should, he's just going to fail, Sakura said. Naruto raised his eyebrows slightly at the comment from the pink-haired girl. For once you're right, billboard brow, Ino agreed. Shut up, Ino pig, Sakura countered. Naruto looked over at the blonde-haired Yamanaka with the same expression. Come on guys, I'm sure he'll just bolt from the classroom like he has the past 3 years, Kiba commented as Akamaru barked in agreement. Actually, Naruto said as he leaned back in the chair and crossed his arms, I plan to take the exam this year, and pass of course. Dead last, Sasuke murmured, I doubt you'll pass. If I don't then I don't, Naruto shrugged. Alright then, Iruka tried to regain the attention of his students. The exam will be in the 3 parts. The first is a written exam, the second an oral exam, and the third is a performance test. We aren't allowed to give you any other information. Other side of the academy. A Chunin-level shinobi stood at the front desk of the academy, filing paperwork. He heard the door open and close, and then blankly asked without looking up, something I can help you with? Yes, I'm sure you can, the voice boomed. The man recognized the voice and shot his head up, Hokage-sama. Minato looked at the man, You're Mizuki, aren't you? Why yes sir, Mizuki nodded. Aside from the reason I am here, I need to speak with you later in my office, Minato stated. I will summon you. Yes sir, Mizuki nodded again. What can I help you with? I need to speak with my son, Minato said simply. Your son, sir? Mizuki asked, slightly confused. Yes, Uzumaki Naruto, Minato said. Oh, he's your son? Mizuki asked, surprised. Yes, Minato replied, a little confused. Can you retrieve him for me? Hi, Mizuki nodded and jogged off to retrieve the little blonde. Back in the classroom, Iruka continued to talk about the exam to his students. Naruto sat in the back of the classroom, trying to pay attention, but since he heard this lecture 3 times before, the blonde was having a hard time. Suddenly there was a knock on the door, and Iruka yelled to come in. Naruto noticed that it was Mizuki, the man that would beat him almost every day after school. Naruto unconsciously narrowed his eyes. The only one to notice this was Shikamaru and Sasuke. Iruka and Mizuki discussed something for a moment before turning their attention to the blonde. Their eyes showed the same expression, shock. Naruto closed his eyes and shook his head. Shit, Naruto swore under his breath. Again the pineapple had caught on and knew something was up with the blonde. He was about to ask before Iruka called Naruto's name. Yeah? Naruto replied. At this point all the students in the classroom has picked up on their instructor's expression and turned their attention to the blonde at the back of the classroom. Your father is here to see you, Iruka said. Naruto's eyes suddenly widened. Why was his father here? For the 3rd time, Shikamaru was the only one to pick up on Naruto's slight reactions. Alright, Naruto nodded and stood. He made his way down the stairs to the door of the classroom. Iruka stared at the blonde the whole until Mizuki closed the door. Once Naruto was alone in the hallway, he suddenly stiffened like he was preparing for one of the beatings from Mizuki. He flinched when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked up and found Mizuki staring ahead as they walked. The blue-haired man looked mad. How come you didn't tell us who you were, Uzumaki-sama? Mizuki snarled. Don't call me that, Mizuki-sensei, Naruto snapped back. What? Uzumaki-sama? Mizuki smirked. Yes, that, Naruto snapped again. We'll have to see about that, Mizuki said as they reached main office of the academy. The blue-haired man removed his hand from Naruto's shoulder before Minato had noticed them. Minato stood staring at the wall full of photos of the academy teachers behind the main desk. The Hokage heard footsteps coming down the hall and turned to see the two heading towards him. Mizuki had an expression on his face that Minato did not appreciate, but he would deal with him later. Right now he had something more important to do. Minato smiled at his son as Naruto walked up to him. Minato placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder, the same one Mizuki had placed his hand. Naruto unconsciously flinched at the touch. Minato noticed but didn't remove his hand. He knew exactly why Naruto had flinched, and he didn't want Mizuki to know that he acknowledged it. The two blondes walked out of the academy together, and made their way to the place where Naruto felt most safe, the large field just beyond the Hokage monument. Tusan? Naruto asked as they walked through the village. Yes, Naruto? Minato replied. Why did you pull me out of school? Naruto asked. We could have come afterwards? Because I have a meeting this evening and the day after your graduation, I have to leave for a few days. I promised you I would explain everything and I put it off long enough. I had some free time, so I thought we could talk. Plus, I bet you have heard the pre-exam lecture enough already, huh? Minato replied. Yeah, I guess, Naruto shrugged. They walked up the tall stairs up the mountain and through the town just behind the heads of the Hokage. Naruto, another reason I pulled you out of school was because I am dealing with some of the shinobi that has harmed you later this afternoon when they are all back from their missions, Minato said. Naruto looked up at his father. What do you plan to do, father? I'm not going to kill them, per your request, even though I really want to. I'm simply going to demote them. Those who are Chunin will now be Genin, and Jonins will be Chunins again. None of them will be getting any mission higher rank than C, but mostly D rank, Minato explained. I see, Naruto nodded. But there is a particular one that I want to talk to you about, Minato said through his teeth. Mizuki-sensei, Naruto whispered. Yes, Minato explained, he's the one who has caused you the most pain. What do you want me to do? Whatever you want, father, Naruto said simply. Okay, why the sudden change? Minato asked. Father, the main reason I didn't want you to kill the shinobi for treason is because I didn't want you to lose some good shinobi, but since Mizuki is only an academy teacher, I really don't care what happens to him, Naruto explained. I see, Minato nodded. Then since it is not a high act of treason, I don't think that the council will appreciate me killing him, so I think I will send him to Hozukijo. Hozukijo? Naruto asked. Yes, it's more commonly known as Blood Prison, Minato nodded. Once they finally reached the field, Naruto trotted ahead past his father and sat cross-legged in the middle of the field. Naruto turned his face to the sky and took a deep breath with a genuine smile on his face. Minato continued to walk at the same pace and take in the scene that was unfolding in front of him. He loved seeing Naruto this happy, and it was a rare sight, so he took his time. Right before he reached his son, he had made sound barriers, preventing anyone from hearing their conversation. Naruto had made the connections to why his father would bring him here. Normally they only came here on rare occasions, like Minato's birthday when he wanted to get away from the village. This is the place where everyone knew not to bother them. Minato smiled at his son once more and sat down cross-legged in front of him. Naruto returned the smile with a large grin, one that Minato wouldn't see very often. The little blonde truly loved being here. Minato started. You're going to tell me what happened to Mom, right? Naruto interrupted. Minato chuckled lightly. Yes, I am, but I am also going to tell you why I believe the villagers treat you the way they do. Oh, Naruto replied. But I will start at the beginning. Minato took a deep breath. The beginning? Naruto repeated. Yes, Minato nodded. Naruto, have you ever heard of the Kyuubi? The Kyuubi? Yeah, they talked about it in the academy. The Kyuubi attacked the village around the time I was born and you killed him, Naruto thought out loud. Well, that's what we told them to teach, Minato corrected. What do you mean, Tusan? When the Kyuubi attacked the village, I knew there was no way you can kill a tailed beast, Minato explained. Wait, a tailed beast? Are there more than one? Naruto asked. Yes, Minato nodded, there are 9 to be exact. The Ichibi, Nibi, Sanbai, Yambi, Gobi, Rokubi, Nanabi, Hachibi, and the Kyuubi. 1 through 9, Naruto repeated. Exactly, Minato nodded. But if you can't kill a tailed beast, then how did you defeat the Kyuubi? Naruto asked. You have to seal the tailed beast into an object, most common is a person, Minato explained. Oh, and you sealed the Kyuubi into someone? Naruto asked. Yes, I did, Minato nodded. A person with a tailed beast sealed inside them is called a Jinchuriki. A Jinchuriki, Naruto repeated. Yes, Minato nodded. Who did you seal the Kyuubi in, Tusan? Naruto asked. Minato took another deep breath. Naruto, I sealed the Kyuubi into you. You are the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi. I'm the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi? Naruto repeated in disbelief. I'm the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi? Naruto repeated again, this time with a louder voice, almost yelling. Naruto suddenly stood up and placed his hand on his stomach. Naruto's eyes started to water. Minato stood up as well and tried to place a hand on his son's shoulder, but Naruto moved away, not wanting his father to touch him. Naruto stared up at him with a mixture of emotions in his eyes. I am a demon, Naruto murmured. No, you're not, Minato tried, but Naruto wasn't listening. The villagers were right about me, Naruto continued. No, they aren't. Minato grabbed both of Naruto's shoulders. Naruto looked up at his father with watering eyes and a mixture of emotion, until one took over. Anger. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the elder blonde and did something Minato wasn't expecting. Naruto clenched his fists, then sent one into his father's stomach, which made Minato release his son and double over in pain. How could you seal the fucking Kyuubi in your own son? Naruto screamed. Minato started. How could you? Naruto said again, softer this time. Naruto started backing up slowly as Minato steadied himself. Minato noticed what Naruto was about to do. Naruto, wait, Minato held out his hand, but it was too late. Naruto had bolted. Minato started to go after him but stopped. Naruto needed to let this sink in. He had hoped Naruto would let him explain why the Kyuubi was sealed inside him, but he didn't get the chance. Suddenly there was a puff of smoke beside Minato, and a silver-haired ANBU member was next to him. Do you want me to go after him, sir? The masked man asked. No, follow him and make sure he is safe, but let him come home on his own terms, Minato ordered. Hi, the masked man nodded and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Minato sighed. Kushina, I wish you were here. You would have explained it better and maybe he wouldn't have bolted like that. Minato decided to make his way home. He would deal with the shinobi later. He already gave the missions depart a list of shinobi who were not allowed to go on missions until he dealt with them, so there was no rush. He thought about flashing home but decided to walk. He needed time to think and Kakashi would ensure that Naruto was safe. He knew that Kakashi would let him come home when he is ready. Although Minato knew Naruto was safe from harm, he still worried about him. He truly didn't think Naruto would react that way. He was normally one to think first, like himself, but at that moment, Naruto acted like his mother. He reacted first instead of thinking, just like Kushina. Maybe there is a bit of her in him, Minato thought to himself. Minato walked slowly back to his home to wait for his son. Minato walked up the stairs to door, silently hoping Naruto had already beat him home, but that wasn't the case. He walked into the house, took off his shoes and made his way to the kitchen to prepare dinner. I'll make Naruto's favorite, maybe that might help, Minato smiled to himself as he pulled Kushina's cookbook out and opened to the most used page. Minato started making Naruto's favorite dish, Kushina's home-made ramen. Even if Minato didn't make it as well as Kushina did. Several hours later, Naruto still hadn't come home and Minato was really starting to worry. Did something happen to him? Is Kakashi protecting him? What if something happened? Minato's head was filled with the worst-case scenarios. It was getting real dark out. He was thinking about going to look for his son, until he remembered that Kakashi always carried one of his special kunais. Minato could just flash to Kakashi and Naruto would be nearby. Minato could check on his son, without him knowing he was there. Minato closed his eyes and searched for the kunai. Once he found it, he flashed to it. He landed on a tree branch on one of the training fields next to Kakashi. The silver-haired ANBU didn't seem fazed by the sudden appearance of his sensei. Minato looked over at his student. Kakashi had slid his mask to the side of his head. The blonde followed Kakashi's gaze and found Naruto sitting cross-legged at the edge of stream. Minato looked around and noticed they were at Training Ground 7. Strange for Naruto to come to this particular place, where Minato had several memories. He hasn't moved for several hours, maybe you should go talk to him, sensei, Kakashi suggested as he glanced over at Minato. I guess that I should. I was hoping Naruto would come to me, but it's getting late, Minato agreed. The blonde hopped down from the tree and landed silently. He strolled over to where his son was sitting. Upon Minato's arrival, Naruto looked up. His eyes were red and swollen. His cheeks were stained with tears and his nose still runny. Minato tried to take a deep breath, but his breath hitched. I talked to him, Naruto said quietly. To who, Naruto? Minato asked. The Kyuubi, Naruto said as he turned his gaze to the river. Flashback. Naruto took off away from his father. He knew the elder would try to follow him, but he was hoping that his father would just leave him alone. Minato had done enough already. He ran through the village, down the stairs and headed to the training grounds. It was getting late, so he prayed they would be empty. He picked a random one and headed there. He slowed down to a walk and noticed his father hadn't followed him. He found a small clearing in a random training ground. He looked around and noticed a large stone in the center of clearing. He walked over and found it was a memorial stone. He looked and found a familiar name. Uzumaki Kushina. Mom, Naruto muttered. The tears that had slowly stopped started forming again. Mom, why did you let Otosan make me the Jinchuriki? Naruto slid down to his knees. His eyes and nose started running again. After what seemed like an eternity, his eyes finally dried as they ran out of tears. The young blonde stood up and unconsciously made his way to the small stream. He sat down and crossed his legs. He sat there for a while staring at the clam water, until he got an idea. The blonde closed his eyes and tried to make his way into his mindscape. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a long hallway. It was dark except for the slight yellow glow coming from the dim light bulbs in the ceiling. He looked down and noticed he was standing in ankle-deep water. When he looked back up, he found himself drawn to one adjoining hallway. The water splashed at his feet as he walked to the hallway. He stopped at the opening and took a deep breath. He continued making his way until he came to a very large cage. So, my vessel has decided to grace me with his presence, a husky voice thundered out of the cage, followed by 2 red eyes. You're the Kyuubi? Naruto's small voice replied. I am, the Kyuubi snarled. I'm sorry you have to be sealed inside me. I don't want you inside me more than you want to be here, Naruto said. What's this? A Jinchuriki apologizing to a tailed beast? The Kyuubi laughed. But since we are stuck with each other, might as well get to know each other, Naruto shrugged. I am the Kyuubi, the 9-tailed demon fox. Why would I want to get to know a weak little kid like you? The large fox laughed. Because you're stuck with me, Naruto replied simply. You're just a little kid. What makes you think you can control me? The Kyuubi continued laughing. I have for 12 years so far, Naruto replied, still remaining surprisingly calm. The Kyuubi didn't reply. Besides, we are alike, you know? Everyone hates me, just like they seem to hate you, Naruto continued. Maybe one day we can even become friends. Ha! Friends! Don't make me laugh, kid! The Kyuubi laughed. Naruto walked up closer to the cage and found the Kyuubi lying down with his head resting on his front paws. Do you have a name? Besides Kyuubi? Or is Kyuubi your name? HN, was the only reply. I have to go now, Naruto said. Tusan will start to worry about me. Maybe one day you will tell me your name. End flashback. Tusan? Yeah? I'm sorry I took off like that, Naruto said. It's alright, Naruto, Minato smiled. The moon was bright, and it shined off the stream. The 2 blondes sat there in silence for quite some time. Minato took a deep breath as he decided to break the silence. Naruto, I wouldn't have made you the Jinchuriki if I didn't have a good reason, Minato stated. I know, Tusan, and I should have realized that earlier, but I took off. I'm sorry. I didn't let you explain. Naruto looked down into his lap. Minato sighed. I honestly wasn't sure how you would react, so I was prepared for the worst. Although it didn't even cross my mind that you would punch me. Naruto reached up and starched the back of his head. Sorry about that. Minato laughed. I'm the Hokage. I think I can take a punch from my 12-year-old. So, why did you seal the Kyuubi in me? Naruto asked. Because I believe that you can control him. I trust you with him, because you are my son, Minato explained. Oh. Naruto, I also couldn't ask any of the parents in the village to do something like make their child a Jinchuriki if I couldn't do it myself. It wouldn't be fair, Minato continued. I see, Naruto nodded. Your mother didn't want to make you the Jinchuriki because she knew the burden it would be on you. Minato frowned at the memory of Kushina yelling at him that night. What do you mean, Tusan? Your mother was the Jinchuriki before you, Minato said. She was? Naruto asked. Yes, so she knew full well what we were asking of you, but I knew you could handle it, Minato continued. I see. Also, I knew if a strong woman like your mother could control the Kyuubi, then you could too. Minato smiled and placed his hand on Naruto's head to ruffle his hair. Wait, if she was the Jinchuriki, how did the Kyuubi attack the village? How did Mom die? Naruto asked from underneath his father's hand. It's a long story, Naruto. It's getting late, and you have a graduation exam to take. Minato smiled. I'm sorry, Naruto. It's going to have to wait. Oh, but aren't you going out of town? Naruto asked. I can push the trip back, because you are more important. Minato shrugged, then gave him a smile. Minato stood up and offered his hand to his son, who took it. Once they were both standing, Minato flashed them back to their house. Minato reheated the ramen he made for the two of them. As they ate dinner, Naruto would randomly make a face. "What's wrong, Naruto?" Minato asked once he made another face. "I keep trying to talk to the Kyuubi, but it's like he is refusing my call or something. I can't quite explain it," Naruto explained. "I see, Kushina told me about this. Your connection in your mind is like a conversation. You both have to want to talk. Does that make sense?" Minato tried to explain. "Yes, so he's just not wanting to talk?" Naruto asked. "I guess so, but Naruto," Minato started. "Yeah? Don't talk to the Kyuubi too much, he's not a good influence." Minato waved the chopsticks in his face. Naruto gave a small laugh then agreed. "Oh, and one more thing," Minato's expression suddenly got serious. "What?" "The Kyuubi stays between you and me. It is not to be shared. If it got out that you were the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, it could put in you a lot of danger," Minato said with a very serious tone. "Just like I would be if I was named Namikaze?" Naruto asked with a little bit of sarcasm and anger in his voice. Naruto did hate that he wasn't named after his father, even if it did make it easier to hide who he really is. Minato sighed, picking up on the anger. "Yes, Naruto, just like that." Naruto nodded. "But a lot of villagers know already, don't they? That's why they treat me so bad, that's why I was beaten." "I believe so," Minato nodded. "After that night when the Kyuubi attacked and you became the Jinchuriki, I made a law that forbid anyone from speaking about the Kyuubi. That's why they always whisper, at least now I know why," Naruto said, playing with his food. "I guess so," Minato agreed. "We will discuss this more later. Let's get to bed, you have a graduation exam in the morning." Naruto nodded and helped his father clean up dinner. They both washed up and headed to bed. The blonde Hokage sat at his desk with his elbows at the edge and his fingers laced in front of his face. Although he was a shinobi and wasn't allowed to let his emotions take over, he was having hard time hiding his angry expression. Minato was terrifying when he was angry. His normally bright blue eyes were now dark and filled with rage. Today was the day he was waiting for. The day the shinobi who harmed his son would be punished. The day his son would be able to walk around the village free from fear of being beaten by the shinobi, or at least that is what he was going for. Several shinobi of various ages stood in front of the fuming Hokage, many of which have never seen Minato this angry before, while the elders had not seen him like this since he found Jiraiya-sama peeking into the women's bath, while Kushina was there. Even though several were terrified of the livid Hokage, their expressions didn't show it. Finally, the last of the shinobi that Minato had summoned arrived, and it was time to get down to business. Minato dropped his hands on his desk with a loud thud. "Do you know the punishment for a shinobi accused of treason?" Minato asked with a booming voice. "Hi," the room chorused. Of course, being shinobi themselves, they knew the answer. "Did you know harming the family of a Kage is considered treasonous?" Minato continued. "Hi," was the answer that rang out. "Then each one of you should know that by harming my family, a child nonetheless, that you have committed a treasonous act," Minato's voice echoed throughout the room. Each and every one of the shinobi in the room were taken aback by what Minato said. The expressions alike, but none were brave enough to speak up. Minato was very surprised by the reaction of the shinobi standing in front of him. Most were shocked while others were confused, not the expressions Minato was expecting. The blonde narrowed his eyes at the men, hoping at least one would be brave enough to say something. Finally, one of the men in front built up enough courage to speak. "Sir, I believe I speak for everyone here when I say that we aren't sure what act of treason you are referencing," the man defended. "You don't know what act of treason I am referencing?" Minato snapped. "No, sir," the man shook his head. "I am referencing the fact that the man standing before me has beaten and abused my son, both mentally and physically," Minato yelled as he stood up, slamming both hands down on the table. "You have a son, sir?" the man asked as his voice wavered. Minato was taken back by the question. Of course he had a son. What kind of question was that? "Yes, I have a son." Minato gritted his teeth. "Uzumaki Naruto is my son." The man he was speaking to suddenly was unable to talk as his eyes widened in obvious realization. The rest of the shinobi in the room had the same, or similar reactions. Minato narrowed his eyes at the men. "That kid is your son?" one of the men asked. "Yes," Minato snapped. "I swear to Kami that I assume the other men here didn't know that he was your son," another said. "How could you not know that he is my son? For Kami's sake, we even look alike," Minato continued. The boy never said anything, Hokage-sama, a voice said. Minato turned and looked at where the voice came from. It was Mizuki, Naruto's sensei that would beat and abuse him after school. Minato was hoping to deal with him separately, but it didn't look like that would be the case. He never said anything? Minato repeated. No, sir, Mizuki shook his head. When asked about his parents, he would stay quiet or make very vague replies. Minato furrowed his eyebrows at Mizuki's answer. Although he didn't believe a word they were saying, how could they not make that connection? He had no proof that they did know Naruto was his son. Minato then remembered Mizuki's reaction when he went to pick up his son from school. Maybe they were telling the truth, and maybe not. For now Minato would just give them their punishment anyways. Very well, as punishment for causing physical and mental harm to my son, you all will be demoted, Minato said. What? A few chimed. Those of you who are Chunin will now be Genin. Jonins will now be Chunins. You will not be allowed to advance in ranking for at least 5 years, Minato continued. Your missions will not be higher rank than C. Are you kidding? A few gaped in awe at their punishment. That's not fair. You should be thanking my son that you are not dead, Minato yelled. What? When I found out that you men have beaten and abused my son, I wanted to have you all executed, but my son stepped in and wouldn't allow it, Minato explained. Now I ask, what would you have done if you found out that your child was beaten and abused by your comrades? By men you grew up with? That you went to school with? What would you have done? A few men shook their head, indicated they didn't know, while others remained silent. Exactly, Minato said. I am the Hokage and my men, the ones I am in charge of, have beaten and abused my son for years. He received mistreatment for nothing he has control of, for things he has never done. What do you expect me to do? I see that your punishment isn't harsh enough for beating a child, let alone my son. But Naruto disagreed. So you should be thanking him. Thanking him for saving your lives. I wanted to have you all executed or thrown in prison. Naruto is the one that saved your asses. When only silence came Minato's way, he continued. The little boy you used to beat, hit, kick, abuse, that little, helpless boy, ending up being the one to save your life. You should be ashamed of yourselves for harming a defenseless child, no matter if he was my son or not. Minato's voice started quieting down. Minato sat back in his chair, exhausted from the yelling he did. He leaned up on the desk, laced his fingers together, and placed his forehead on the fist he made. He took a deep breath in, and glanced back up at the men. They now had the expressions Minato was expecting. They looked degraded, ashamed, humiliated, regretful, mortified, and all of the above. Minato took another deep breath, as he was satisfied at making those men feel horrible for what they did. Their punishment should teach them well, even if he did think it wasn't enough. You're dismissed, Minato stated, and Mizuki, I will speak with you separately. All the men filed out of the office, leaving one blue-haired shinobi standing in the center. Minato breathed out an angry breath. He truly hated the man standing in front of him, but being the Hokage, he couldn't let personal feelings interfere. Minato gritted his teeth. You were one of Naruto's senseis as the academy, correct? Minato asked. Yes, Hokage-sama, Mizuki nodded. Mizuki, Naruto told me about some of the things you did to him. Apparently you were the worst when it came to the abuse he received from the shinobi, Minato explained, therefore you will receive the worst punishment. Mizuki only nodded in response. You will stripped of shinobi status and sent to Hozukijo, Minato stated. Mizuki's mouth dropped open at the mention of the prison. Umbu, Minato called. Suddenly a sliver-haired ANBU member with a dog mask and a brunette with a cat mask appeared, taking Mizuki on either side. Your chakra will be sealed away, Minato explained. I will let Inoichi and Ibiki do what they will with you before you are sent to Hozukijo. Mizuki continued to stare in disbelief. Take him away, Minato stated. With a puff of smoke the three men disappeared. Minato sighed as he looked at the clock. I need to get to the academy. They should be expecting me soon. Alright, for the final part of the graduation exam, you will have to demonstrate one of the 3 basic jutsus. Kawarimi no Jutsu, Bunshin no Jutsu, or Henji no Jutsu, Irika explained to the class. We will be going backwards alphabetically. First up is Yamanaka Ino, Irika finished. That means I will be next, Naruto thought to himself. Ino stood up and followed Irika to the next room, but not before Sakura told Inopig not to fail. A few moments later, Irika walked back into the room. Next is Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto stood up with everyone's eyes on him. Naruto was used to being stared at, so he didn't react to it, but simply walked down the stairs to follow Irika to the next room. "Don't fail, dead last," Sasuke commented as Naruto walked by. "I don't plan on it, team," Naruto replied casually. "Don't call Sasuke-kun that," the pink-haired girl called out, which Naruto just ignored. Irika held the door open for the blonde as he stepped through. "Are you ready, Uzumaki-sama?" Irika asked as Naruto walked by. Naruto stopped. "Don't call me that." "Oh, I'm sorry, Naruto. Let's begin," Irika said, closing the door. "Uzumaki-sama? What's that all about?" Sakura asked, to no one in particular. "Who knows?" Kiba snorted. "Naruto's probably hiding something," Sasuke smirked. "It probably has something to do with the name Uzumaki," Shino commented. "Why?" "Because there is no one else in village with that name." What about his parents?" Choji asked. "Isn't Naruto an orphan?" Sakura replied. "Naruto-kun doesn't talk about his family much," Hinata whispered. "That's probably because he doesn't have any," Kiba said. I bet Naruto is going to surprise us all," Shikamaru said. "What do you mean, Shikamaru?" Choji asked, munching on a bag of potato chips. "Just watch," Shikamaru smirked. Naruto followed his sensei down the hall into a large classroom. It was empty except for a table at the front. Irika instructed him to the center of the classroom. Naruto didn't glance over at the table, because he knew who would be sitting there. Mizuki. Naruto made his way slowly to the center and kept his gaze down. "Please perform the Henji no Jutsu," a familiar voice called. When Naruto heard the voice, his head shot up. "Tsu-san?" "Naruto," Minato nodded. "Why are you giving the final test of the exam?" Naruto asked. Minato leaned forward and laced his hands together in front of his face. "I pulled Mizuki from the testing and I couldn't find a replacement teacher in time, so I filled in. Now if you could perform the Henji no Jutsu, please." Naruto nodded and placed his hands together in a ram sign, Henji no Jutsu. With a puff of smoke, Naruto had transformed into the fourth Hokage himself. After a few seconds there was another puff of smoke and Naruto returned to normal. "Very original, Naruto," Minato chuckled lightly. "Heh, I didn't have to change much," Naruto scratched the back of his head. "The henge was perfectly complete, Hokage-sama," Irika nodded towards his favorite student. "Indeed it was," Minato agreed. "Does that mean I graduated too, San?" Naruto asked. "Well, we have to add up the rest of your scores to determine that, Naruto," Minato explained. "Please move to the waiting area. It's next classroom down." Naruto nodded and headed out the door. He didn't mind revealing his identity to Irika, since he already knew when his father picked him up from the academy, but he didn't appreciate Irika calling him Uzumaki-sama in front of the classroom. Naruto made his way to the next classroom slowly. He slid the door open and noticed Ino was sitting at one of the desks. "You passed, Naruto?" she asked politely. "I don't know, Ino," Naruto shrugged. "Which did you have to perform?" she asked again. "Henji? Clone," Ino replied. Naruto nodded and took a seat a little ways from her. The next to enter the classroom was Sasuke, who surprisingly sat next to Naruto. The blonde shot him a look, which was replied with a glare. Naruto understood, the Uchiha didn't want to sit next to Ino. Next was Shikamaru, who murmured something about troublesome, followed by Kiba, who ranted about it being easy. A few others followed in suit. Slowly everyone had arrived in the classroom and had taken various seats. Once all the students had arrived in the classroom, Irika followed. "All right, take a seat and be quiet," Irika ordered. Everyone did as they were told, and took their seats. Ino woke Shikamaru up whilst others adjusted them. Once everyone was quietly seated, Irika spoke up. "All right, we tallied all your scores from the 3 exams," Irika started. There was a short silence and Naruto took a chance to say something. "What? The Hokage's not going to tell us who passed and who didn't?" Naruto asked. Irika chuckled lightly. "No, sorry, Naruto. The Hokage said he had some business to take care of." Naruto nodded as he understood, and Irika continued. "Alright, so I am going to announce who all passed and who didn't. Those who passed will be ordered from highest score to lowest. If you don't hear your name, you didn't pass," Irika explained. The students sat there waiting for Irika to continue. "Afterwards, those who didn't pass need to leave," The others remain here for further instruction and your hitai, understood? Hi, was replied in unison. Alright then, let's begin, Irika nodded. The highest score and the first person to graduate is. You could almost feel the tension in the room rise as the class waited for the first person's name to be called. Most figured that Sasuke or Shikamaru would have the highest score, but no expected this. Uzumaki Naruto, Irika finished a little surprised himself. A few gasps were heard throughout the room and Naruto could feel everyone staring at him. Naruto looked up at his sensei and smiled. Irika only nodded in response. Dead last, finished first? Sasuke smirked. I guess so, Naruto murmured. Uchiha Sasuke, Aburame Shino, Irika continued to call names for the next 10 minutes or so. Once he was finished, several students got up and left, leaving the rookie 9 and a few others in the classroom. Congratulations on graduating, Irika smiled. Now the real fun begins. Real fun? Kiba repeated. Tomorrow all of you will report here for your first assignment, Irika continued to smile. Please come forward to retrieve your hitaes. Everyone did as they were told and grabbed a hitai, then made their way out of the academy. A group of parents were standing in the courtyard waiting for their children. Naruto was the last to exit the building. He looked around and didn't see the yellow spiky hair he knew all so well. He sighed and looked down at his hitai. Congratulations and special dinners were heard throughout the group. Naruto glanced around once more, and then heard some familiar whispers. They let him become a ninja? You know what could happen if that kid starts learning jutsus. That's him? That's the. Sure. It's taboo. Naruto shook it off, but it still hurt no matter how much he was used to it. He stuffed his hitai in his pocket, and made his way out of the group to head home. He would see his father tonight, but right now he must be busy. Naruto lowered his head. Naruto, a soft voice came from the other side of the yard. Naruto looked up, surprised at the voice, and saw his father standing there with one hand on his hip. Minato gave him a huge smile and beckoned him forward. Naruto returned to the smile and trotted up to his father. Naruto stopped short of his father and pulled the hitai out of his pocket. Minato crouched down and pulled Naruto into a hug. Congratulations, my son. Naruto returned the hug. Thanks, Tsusan. By now, Naruto knew that the whole village would soon find out that Naruto was the Hokage's son. He would have some explaining to do to his father. And hopefully he wouldn't be too hurt or too mad. Naruto pulled back and Minato stood up. Minato looked over to the group of parents, and found it strange that they were staring at him like he was a ghost. Minato saw Shikaka and Sim, two of the clan leaders, and nodded. He did the same to the other shinobi. Didn't know the Hokage had a son, Shikaka commented, watching Minato with the little blonde-haired boy. Especially his son being the demon child, Sim agreed. I knew Naruto was Hokage-sama's son, Shikamaru shrugged. But what do you mean demon child? Never mind that. How did you know? Shikaka raised an eyebrow. Well, it's kind of obvious, Shikamaru said. I mean, they look and act alike. Shikaka nodded in agreement. Tsusan? Can we go home? Naruto asked. How about instead we go to the field and finish our discussion? Minato smiled. Naruto smiled and nodded in agreement. He looked down at his hitai, then placed it on his head and tied it. Now I look like you, Naruto laughed. Minato ruffled Naruto's hair. You've always looked like me. Minato placed his arm around Naruto as they made their way down the familiar path to their favorite spot. Minato sat across from his son as he chatted about how easy the exam was that he took only hours earlier. Minato would laugh or ask a question occasionally. He was happy that Naruto is starting to open up more. A few months ago, Naruto would not have been this chatty. Minato sighed. He's becoming more and more like Kushina every day. Who knew that the villagers were keeping this bubbly personality bottled up in his son? Naruto finished his monologue, ending with how everyone was surprised that Naruto had the highest scores. There was a moment of silence and Minato took it. I'm glad school went well for you, Naruto, Minato smiled, but tomorrow your real test starts. What do you mean, Tsusan? Minato laughed at the memories. You'll just have to wait and see. Naruto crossed his arms and made hump sound, which only made Minato laugh more. The laughing soon became contagious as Naruto started laughing too. Once the laughing subsided, Minato knew it was time to get serious. Naruto needed to know what happened to his mother. It was something he promised him, and it was time to tell him. Naruto, I promised I would tell you about your mother, Minato started. I think you are old enough now to understand the whole story. Naruto nodded and pushed Minato to continue. As you already know, Kushina, your mother, was the Jinchuriki before you. Before I tell you what happened the night you were born, it would be best you know a bit more about your mother's history, Minato said. Mom's history? What do you mean? Wasn't she from Konoha? Naruto asked. Yes, she lived here, but it's not where she was born, Minato shook his head. Oh. Your mother was chosen as the second Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. She was brought to Konoha for that purpose, Minato continued. She was originally from the Whirlpool country, and she lived in the village hidden in the eddies. Wait, if she was from a whole another country, why was she brought to Konoha? Naruto asked. The Whirlpool and the Fire Country, as well as the Hidden Eddies and Hidden Leaf, has very strong ties to one another, Minato explained. The Uzumakis and the Senjus, the leaders of the villages, were distant blood relatives. The people of the Eddies had astonishingly long lives, giving them the nickname of being the village of longevity. The Uzumaki clan specialized in sealing. The seal I used to seal away the Kyuubi into you was based on her clan's technique. Kushina taught me several sealing techniques, allowing me to become a seal master. Wow, Mom must have been an amazing sealer as well, Naruto commented. Minato chuckled. Yes, she was. The symbol on the shinobi uniform was the symbol of the Eddies. It now symbolizes friendship and goodwill. Although during the war, her village and country were destroyed, people became to fear their sealing techniques. The few survivors spread across the globe. But why was she chosen? Naruto asked in a rather loud voice. Kushina was born with a very powerful chakra that was able to suppress the Kyuubi. The Jinchuriki before her was also an Uzumaki. Actually, her predecessor was the first Hokage's wife, Uzumaki Mito. Really? Naruto wondered. Yes. Naruto, you were taught about the battle between Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara in school, correct? Minato checked. Yes, Naruto nodded. During their battle, Hashirama was able to gain control of the Kyuubi, and to aid her husband, Mito sealed the Kyuubi into herself, becoming its first Jinchuriki. From then on, Konoha had possession of the Kyuubi. When Mito was nearing the end of her life, Kushina was brought here to become the next vessel, Minato continued. She never told me much about how she became the Jinchuriki. That's something you are going to ask her. What do you mean? Naruto suddenly became confused. Minato shook his head. I'll have to explain that later. Wait, if Mom was the Jinchuriki, how did the Kyuubi attack the village? Naruto asked. 12 years ago, when the Kyuubi attacked the village, a man had control of it. He somehow knew the one thing that could naturally weaken the seal, Minato said. What? Childbirth, Minato stated. You mean when I was born? Naruto asked. Minato nodded. Yes. A full-term pregnancy for a female Jinchuriki is about 10 months. As the baby grows, the chakra that supports the seal is redirected to nurture the baby, so the seal weakens in direct proportion. We took precautions for the Kyuubi, in case anything were to happen. We moved Kushina out to a vacant cave nearby with only me, Biwako, the third's wife, an ANBU member Taji, and of course your mother knew the location. The man somehow knew that Kushina's seal would be the weakest the moment you were born. He was able to take down the ANBU members we had placed outside and enter the cave without anyone's notice. I was born in a cave? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. You're missing the point, Naruto. Minato shook his head and continued. I won't go into the details about your birth, you're a little young for that. But right as I was about to redo the seal, the man took down Biwako and Taji right after you were born and took you from us. He threatened to kill you. I was able to get you back, but he put you in harm's way to get me away from your mother. I flashed home to put you somewhere safe so I could save your mother. But you were too late? Naruto assumed. Not exactly. Minato's voice started to shake as he relived those painful memories. The man took her to a place right outside the village and ripped the Kyuubi from her. I managed to get there right after the Kyuubi had been extracted and move her to a safe place, but the man and the Kyuubi were headed to the village. Tusan? Naruto called, noticing the tremble in Minato's voice. When the elder blonde lifted his head, Naruto noticed that there were tears running down his face. You don't have to tell me the rest if it hurts too much. No, it's all right, Naruto. Minato shook his head, wiped the tears from his face and took a deep breath to continue. I took your mother to where I had left you, then went to face the man and the Kyuubi. Once I arrived at the village, the Kyuubi was already on a destructive path. I had to stop him from destroying the village anymore. But that man had other plans. He was able to move me away from the village and fight me one-on-one. I can't go into detail here because they are classified, but I will say I was able to injure him and get back to the village, but not before I made him lose control of the Kyuubi and summoned Gambunta to help me handle the Kyuubi. What do you mean summon Gambunta? Naruto asked. I have signed the Toad summoning contract. Gambunta is one of the Toads. I will explain that more when you are ready. Minato answered Naruto's question, then continued the story. Gambunta was able to hold down the fox long enough for me to build up chakra to teleport the Kyuubi outside the village. I also was able to get both you and your mother. I brought you too because I had a plan. I may have been able to injure the man, but I knew he'd be back. Kushina used the last of her chakra to put a barrier around the Kyuubi to hold him down. Kushina was prepared to use the last of her chakra to reseal him inside her, and then have him die alongside her. But you didn't let that happen? Naruto asked. No, my original plan was to seal half in me with the dead demon seal and half inside you. Because you were so young, I didn't think your body could handle all of the Kyuubi's chakra, Minato explained. But Mom wouldn't let you do that either, Naruto assumed. No, we came up with a different plan. She would seal half of the chakra inside her and the other half inside you, Minato continued. I thought that having the chakra inside would help her live, but she didn't. Naruto finished for him. No, she knew she was going to die and had me seal her remaining chakra inside you, so that you may one day be able to speak with her, Minato said as he placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. She didn't want to place such a heavy burden on you, but in the end we both knew that you would be able to handle the Kyuubi. Because I'm the son of two heroes, Naruto smiled. Yes, you are. Your mother died with the second half of the Kyuubi inside her, but since she didn't have the soul of the Kyuubi, it will remain with her, Minato explained. She loved you so much, Naruto. She had so much she wanted to teach you. You loved her so much, didn't you too, San? Naruto asked. I did. I loved her a lot. She made me her husband, she made the Hokage, and she made me your father. I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. I wouldn't have you without her. Minato ruffled Naruto's hair again and smiled as the tears continued to run down his face. I think I would have loved her a lot, Naruto whispered. I think so too, Minato agreed. Naruto and Minato sat for a long time in silence. Naruto was taking in what his father had just told him, while Minato was trying to regain his composure after reliving those painful memories for the first time since that night. It was getting late as the sun was starting to set. The elder blonde took a deep breath. They both had a long day to prepare for tomorrow. Naruto had his first day as a genin, and Minato had to go to Suna to meet with the Kazekage. Minato could tell Naruto was in deep thought, and although he didn't want to disturb him, they had to go home. Minato was about to speak, but Naruto interrupted him. Tusan? Naruto called. Yes? You said you sealed the rest of Mom's chakra into me so that I would be able to speak with her one day, Naruto thought out loud. I did, Minato nodded. When do you think that will be? Naruto asked. To be honest, I am not exactly sure. Minato placed his hand on his chin as he though, but one day soon. Oh, okay, Naruto nodded. How about we go home? Minato suggested. We both have a long day ahead of us tomorrow. Naruto nodded in agreement, then went to stand up. Minato wrapped his arm around his son as they headed him. Naruto didn't seem as afraid to go into village as he did a few months earlier, for which Minato was grateful. It seemed Naruto's true personality was starting to shine through, but it would be a while before anyone besides Minato would get to see the real Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto walked beside his father with a newfound confidence. The young blonde was unsure where this self-assurance came from. Maybe it was the fact that he was a genin now. Maybe it was because he felt safe walking beside his father through the village. Maybe it was because he felt he didn't have to hide who he was. The gossip would spread like a wildfire through the village. Naruto was consumed in his thoughts that he didn't even acknowledge the glares he was getting. He paid no attention to the whispers. Although Naruto didn't hear or see them, Minato sure did. But it made the elder blonde feel a bit helpless, that he couldn't do anything to change the way the villagers felt towards his son. Only Naruto could do that. Minato glanced at the sun, which was starting to set in the sky. He guessed the time and realized he had a meeting with the clan heads this evening. The path they were taking would lead the elder the opposite direction in which he needed to be going. Minato worried for a moment, then pushed it aside, knowing his student was never too far from his son. Naruto? Minato called as he stopped. Naruto took a few steps before he noticed his father had stopped walking and called his name. The blonde stopped and turned to face the elder. Yes, Tusan? Naruto replied, walking back up to his father so that he was now only a foot or so away. I had forgotten I have a meeting with the clan heads this evening. Will you be alright walking home by yourself? Minato placed his hand on Naruto's head to ruffle his hair. I'll be fine, Tusan. Naruto smiled beneath Minato's hand. I'm a shinobi now. Minato chuckled lightly. I guess you are. Besides, you know what to do if something. I know, Tusan. Naruto interrupted as he continued smiling. Alright, Minato smiled and removed his hand. I will see you at home in a few hours then. Naruto nodded, turned around and started walking in the direction he was heading. Minato watched for a moment, before reassuring himself and walking back to the Hokage Tower. Naruto walked through the village a little less confident than he was earlier. His father would be home soon, and he knew his favorite A and B would be watching until he did. The sun was completely set, and the streets were empty, for which Naruto was thankful. It was silent except for the occasional voices coming from the houses. Unexpectedly, Naruto found himself flying backwards, then pinned to the wall of an ally he just passed. His throat was being crushed by a strong arm, and his arms felt numb as they were restrained behind him. Naruto forced his eyes open to face his attacker. His eye widened even more when he recognized his assailant. He tried to speak, but his throat was going numb from the pressure. You listen here, demon, the man demanded. You are going to retrieve something for me. Naruto gathered enough strength in both his legs, shoving them into the stomach of the man. The man slid backwards as Naruto fell to his knees. The blonde coughed as his throat regained their feelings and his lungs gasped for air. Why you? The man started. I'm not doing anything for you, Mizuki. Naruto tried to yell, but his voice failed him and his words were barely above a whisper. Oh, I think you might. Mizuki's voice suddenly got very confident. Naruto looked up at his former sensei to find a very devious smirk on his face. The blue-haired man put his hand as his pack that sat on the small of his back, pulling thing out. Naruto watched as he kept trying to get his breathing under control. When Mizuki showed the young boy what he had pulled out, a small scroll, Naruto's eyes widened to an unnatural size and his mouth dropped open ready to speak, but no words came out. This is important to you, no? Mizuki snarled. How did you get that? Naruto said as his voice finally came back to him. How is not important, Mizuki stated. Now, you are going to retrieve something for me. What do you want? Naruto asked, almost pleaded. The forbidden scroll from your father's library, Mizuki stated. No, Naruto said bluntly. Then I guess you're not getting this back. Mizuki shrugged as he started to place the scroll back. Please. Naruto pleaded, then hesitated a moment. Alright, I will get it for you. Good, Mizuki nodded. Naruto raced home, as thoughts flew through his mind. What was he going to do? Where was the ANBU that always watched him? Where was his father? He couldn't give Mizuki the forbidden scroll. His father would never forgive him. But that traitor has his scroll, something he couldn't live without. How was he going to get out of this one? Naruto shook his head as the small house came into view. He raced up the stairs, fished out his key and rushed into the house. He didn't bother to take his sandals off as he ran to the door he was told never to open. Naruto turned the knob and headed into the room. It wasn't anything spectacular, just a basic library. Bookcases and shelves lined the walls. The shelves were filled with books, scroll, and paperwork. In the center was a desk with a small lamp. Naruto glanced around a moment before noticing the small button in the corner of the desk. Naruto pushed it, and one of the bookcases slid open, revealing a very large white and green scroll with Scroll of Sealing written on it, and a tasseled rope tied around it. Naruto took a deep breath and reached for the scroll but stopped midway. Father would have a silent alarm on the scroll, but if he is notified he will find me soon. Naruto took this as a good thing as he reached to pull the scroll out of the cabinet. To Naruto's surprise, nothing happened. He also grabbed the brown scroll strap. He took a glance at the scroll. Maybe there's something in there that can help me, but I'll have to be quick. Naruto threw the scroll in the desk and untied the rope. The scroll rolled open, revealing the first of the forbidden jutsus. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Similar to the clone technique, this technique creates clones of the user. However, these clones are actual copies, not illusions. The user's chakra is evenly distributed among every clone, giving each clone an equal fraction of the user's overall power. The clones are capable of performing techniques on their own and can even bleed, but will usually disperse after 1 or 2 solid blows. Hand seal, middle and index finger cross. It's the first one, Naruto said to himself. It's probably the least dangerous. Naruto made the hand sign and followed the instruction. With a puff of smoke, an exact copy of him appeared. He poked it to make sure it was a shadow clone and not a regular clone. Then Naruto got an idea. He made a second shadow clone, then turned the first into an exact copy of the forbidden scroll. He instructed the remaining clone to take the actual forbidden scroll and head to the field where his father would know where to find him. He then took the copy of the scroll and strapped it to his back and headed out. With Minato. Minato sat at the head of the large table with several shinobi sitting around him. Only 2 clans were missing, the Uchiha and the Yamanaka. Minato and the heads continued to discuss the latest topic when the door suddenly slammed open. Minato looked up from the paper he was reading. "Inoichi, you're late," Minato stated. "I'm sorry, Hokage-sama. But we have a problem," Inoichi said, breathing heavily. "Problem?" Minato repeated. "Yes, sir. Mizuki, he's gone," Inoichi explained. "Gone?" Minato suddenly stood up, slamming his hands on the desk. "Yes, sir. It seems it was an inside job," Inoichi said. "There's also something else, sir." "What?" Minato snarled. The silent alarm for the forbidden scroll went off, Inoichi informed the Hokage. "The scroll is in my library," Naruto, Minato thought. "Find him. Now. All of you," Minato yelled. The shinobi nodded, stood up and followed directions. Minato flashed to home to find his little boy not there. He took a short breath and called for Kakashi. "Hi," the silver-haired ANB replied after a puff of smoke. "Mizuki's gone. Find Naruto and protect him," Minato explained. "Hi," Kakashi replied. "Wait, one of them has the forbidden scroll, the key to Naruto's seal is in there. I'm afraid Mizuki might want to unleash the Kyuubi, but even if not and Naruto finds it," Minato trailed off. "Understood, sensei," Kakashi nodded. Kakashi Minato caught the silver-haired ANBU attention one last time. "Hi," Kakashi replied. "Why weren't you there to protect him?" Minato questioned. "I received a summon to the headquarters that was supposedly from you, but it turns out it was a fake," Kakashi explained, then hesitated a moment before continuing. "It's my fault that Mizuki got to Naruto, sir. I should have known the summon was a fake. I will find him and bring Naruto home." Minato was slightly shocked by the attachment in Kakashi's voice. It was something that was rare for the man. The Hokage only nodded. He knew Kakashi would never leave Naruto unprotected unless it was for something of importance. A summon from the Hokage was quite important. Kakashi pulled out a scroll from his pack, bit his thumb and summoned his Niken. "Find Naruto. You know his scent," he ordered the pups. The dogs nodded, then headed out. After a moment, one of the dogs called. Kakashi started to take off and noticed Minato was preparing to follow him. He stopped and turned around. "Stay here, sensei. In case he comes back," Kakashi ordered, but it sounds more like a question. Minato took a deep breath. He wanted to go find his son, but his student was right. He needed to stay here, just in case Naruto did come back or the shinobi had information on Mizuki. He reluctantly nodded and sent Kakashi off. He trusted the silver-haired shinobi because Kakashi loved Naruto almost as much as he did. "Naruto, where are you?" Minato thought to himself, as he watched his student take off through the night. Naruto walked into the forest with the scroll strapped to his back like he was instructed to do. He made his way to the small clearing where he found Mizuki already waiting for him. "You actually got the scroll," Mizuki smirked. "Bring it here, demon." Naruto nodded and walked over to the blue-haired man. He undid the scroll from his back and placed it on the ground in front of him. Naruto then backed away from the scroll. "Please give me the scroll, Mizuki," Naruto begged. "Fine." Mizuki pulled the small scroll from the pocket and tossed it to the blonde. Naruto caught the scroll and held it close to his chest. He breathed out a breath he seemed to be holding since Mizuki had attacked him in the ally. He sighed and put the scroll away. He lowered his head so that his long blonde hair covered his eyes. Then a mischievous smirk crossed his face. He crossed his first fingers into an all-so-familiar head sign and ended the jutsu. A split second later, as Mizuki reached to pick up the large scroll, it disappeared in a puff of smoke. "What the hell?" Mizuki yelled as he looked back at the blonde, who still had his eyes covered. "Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu," the blonde whispered as he slowly lifted his head to reveal red slit eyes. Suddenly 1,000 or more shadow clones appeared surrounding both Mizuki and the original Naruto. Kakashi flew through the trees as he followed one of his Niken. Pakken led him into forest on the far side of village. "How much farther, Pakken?" Kakashi questioned without wavering his speed. "We're almost there," Pakken replied. Several moments later, Kakashi and Pakken landed without a sound in a small clearing in the forest. Kakashi's eyes widened behind his mask as he noticed the blue-haired shinobi laying face down on the ground and a young blonde-haired boy standing above him. Naruto looked over towards the young ANBU member as Kakashi realized the boy was dirty and his clothes ripped, but he seemed to be completely unharmed. Naruto's eyes suddenly closed and he started to fall. Kakashi flashed over and caught the boy before he hit ground. Kakashi looked over at Mizuki and noted that he was still alive, but barely. He was about beaten to death. No jutsus were used, just basic taijutsu. He called for backup. The ANBU would know what to do with the traitor. Then it hit him. Where was the forbidden scroll? He looked down the young boy in his arms and thought for a moment about asking Naruto, but he didn't want to disturb the boy. Kakashi carefully adjusted Naruto so he was on his back, piggyback style. Kakashi sighed, then dismissed Pakken and headed back to the village. Kakashi was flying through the trees at an alarming rate when he felt Naruto's shift on his back. He turned his head and noticed that Naruto's eyes were slowly widening. Hachi? Naruto whispered before falling back asleep from chakra exhaustion. Kakashi smiled from behind his mask, thinking back to the memories of when he first met the young boy and the day he was named Hachi. Flashback. What? The young ANBU asked. I said I want you to meet my son, Minato repeated, then turned around. Jiraiya-sensei? Jiraiya walked around the corner holding a small child about the age of 3 in his arms. The little one looked like a miniature version of the fourth. Kakashi blinked at the young blonde in surprise. I didn't know you had a son, Kakashi said, let alone one that is like 3. Minato chuckled to himself as he reached for his son. Yes, Kushina was pregnant, but we kept Naruto and Kushina's pregnancy from most of the village. I'm sorry we didn't tell you, Kakashi. But since you are ANBU, we thought it was best if you didn't know such sensitive information. Kakashi nodded. I understand, sensei. Good, Minato smiled, then turned to Naruto. Would like to meet one of my favorite students, Naruto? The little giggled as he leaned forward to be face to face with the masked silver-haired ANBU. Naruto stopped laughing and looked at Kakashi with a serious face. Then out of nowhere Naruto poked the mask that was on Kakashi's face. Hachi! Naruto exclaimed. Hachi? Kakashi repeated. Naruto nodded in response. I'm not Hachi. I'm Kakashi, Kakashi protested. No, Hachi, Naruto pouted. Minato and Jiraiya both laughed at Kakashi's new nickname. It's not funny, sensei, Kakashi said, still protesting. Tell him my name is Kakashi. Ah, come on, Kakashi. It's a cute nickname for you. Especially since your ANBU mask is a dog, Minato replied. But Kakashi started. Let him call you that, Minato laughed. Kakashi glared at his sensei and then finally replied, fine. Naruto giggled once more in Minato's arms, then finally got down and ran over the young adult. Naruto looked up at his future sensei and smiled. Kakashi couldn't help but return the smile with one of his own. End flashback. Several hours later, Naruto was back safe at his home, asleep in his bed from chakra exhaustion. Minato slowly closed the door to his son's room, and then placed several security seals around the room and the house. Although he thought they were unnecessary now that Mizuki was back in custody, but he can never be too careful. Minato turned around to face his student and tried to understand exactly what happened tonight. The elder blonde sighed and started walking towards the kitchen table, signaling Kakashi to follow. He motioned for the young ANBU to take the seat across from him. Kakashi did as he was told. Once both were seated, Minato took a deep breath and prepared himself. So, let's start from the beginning. What happened tonight? And how did we allow it to happen? We believe Mizuki escaped with the help of someone on the inside. We have yet to figure out who. But we will. He was tracking Naruto for some time but was unable to find him until he sensed you. We are unable to determine why he wasn't able to sense Naruto's chakra but was able to sense yours, Kakashi explained. I placed a chakra suppression seal on Naruto. It keeps sensory types from finding him. For 2 reasons, 1 the Kyuubi and 2, he is my son, Minato explained. I see, Kakashi nodded. Once you left Naruto, that's when he confronted him. When Inochi got from Naruto's memories, was the Mizuki had a scroll that was of value to him, and used it to get Naruto to retrieve the forbidden scroll. That scroll was written by Kushina for Naruto. It's the one thing she left for him, Minato explained in a voice so quiet it was almost a whisper. Oh, Kakashi replied and paused for a moment before continuing. Naruto did as he was told, or so it seemed. Or so it seemed? Minato pushed. You aren't going to like what comes next, sensei, Kakashi replied. Just continue, Minato said. Kakashi took a deep breath. Naruto had every intention of giving Mizuki the Forbidden Scroll until he got an idea. An idea? Minato repeated. Kakashi then explained how Naruto learned Kage Bunshin and Taju Kage Bunshin from the Forbidden Scroll, and how Naruto deceived Mizuki in order to get the scroll from his mother back. Then it goes black, Kakashi finished. What? Minato asked. It goes black. There aren't any memories of what happened after Mizuki learned that Naruto didn't have the actual Forbidden Scroll, Kakashi explained. How does he not have any memories? Minato questioned. Inochi thinks he does have the memories but didn't allow him to see them, Kakashi shrugged. I think you are just going to have to ask Naruto yourself. Minato nodded in agreement. Sensei? Did you get the Forbidden Scroll back? Kakashi asked. Minato nodded once more. Yes, Naruto's clone brought it back once it received the order from the original to do so. I see, Kakashi said. You should get some sleep, Kakashi. You have a long day tomorrow as well, Minato smiled. I do, Kakashi agreed. I will see you later, sensei. I mean Hokage-sama. Kakashi stood and bowed to the Hokage before taking his leave. Minato followed and made his way to his room after checking on Naruto one last time. Kakashi made his way home. He decided to walk instead of taking the fast way of the rooftops like he normally does. It was late and the ANBU had several things on his mind. Like how he was going to be a Jonin leader for a Genin team. Kakashi sighed and thought back to when Minato-sensei asked him to be a Jonin leader. Flashback. Oh, Kakashi. You're here. Good, Minato said to the ANBU with the dog mask as the man stood in the center of the office. Minato put down his pen and leaned back in his chair. Please remove your mask, Kakashi, Minato instructed. Kakashi did as he was told and pulled his mask to the side of his head. I have a favor to ask of you, Kakashi, Minato smiled. Yes, Hokage-sama? Kakashi replied. I want you to become a Jonin leader for a Genin team, Minato explained. Kakashi stood there for a moment, unsure at first that he had heard his sensei right. Then when he realized that he was certain that that is what his sensei asked, he really wasn't sure what to say. He can't really say no to his sensei, let alone the Hokage. How was he supposed to reply? I know, Minato started. You thinking how can I be a Jonin leader? What is he thinking? Well, I have several reasons why I want you in particular to become a Jonin leader. Which is? Kakashi pushed. Minato reached into the bottom drawer of the left side of his desk and pulled out 3 files. He placed them on the desk and motioned for Kakashi to come forward. He pulled the top file out and flipped it open. Naruto is my number 1 reason. After what has happened with the other Jonins in the village, you are really the only one I completely trust to teach Naruto correctly and protect him with your life, Minato explained. The second reason is Uchiha Sasuke. Minato sighed then shook his head. After what Itachi did to the Uchiha clan, there isn't anyone left who can teach Sasuke how to use the Sharingan beside you. You are the only one left that has the Sharingan, and I know you aren't an Uchiha, but it will have to do. This is only if I am correct on Sasuke awakening the Sharingan, but with him being Itachi's brother, and the son of the clan head, I am expecting him to. The last and least important is Hanuro Sakura. From what I hear from her academy instructors, she has almost perfect chakra control. I compared her file to Tsunade's from when she was in the academy, and they are almost identical, but their personalities are similar yet polar opposite. Minato shivered at the thought of another Tsunade. I want you to help Sakura become a medic. Make her the next Tsunade. And again, you're really the only Jonin I trust with these 3. I understand, sensei. But Kakashi started. No buts, Kakashi. This is an order, Minato stated. Yes, sir, Kakashi nodded. Good, Minato smiled and put the files back in the drawer. You start in 2 weeks. I will be cutting back on the most dangerous missions so that I won't lose my son, sensei. Understood, Kakashi nodded. Thank you, Minato smiled. You are dismissed. Hi, Kakashi nodded, then disappeared with a puff of smoke. End flashback. Kakashi sighed. He was almost forced into being a Jonin leader, but somehow being Naruto's sensei didn't seem all that bad. He always protected the little brat, and now he can finally teach the little how to protect himself. Kakashi smiled as he found his way to his apartment. Maybe being a Jonin leader wouldn't be so bad. It was still early in the morning when a certain little blonde, although not so little anymore, made his way down the hall, almost automatically making his way to the kitchen and then into small adjoining dining room. Naruto sat down without realizing his father was watching every step he took with curious yet worried eyes. Naruto rubbed the sleep from his eyes before finally looking around. He looked into the kitchen and saw his father watching him with a plate and a dish rag. Minato turned around, placed the rag and dish on the counter, and walked into the dining room. Naruto smiled up at his father as he ruffled his hair. "Naruto, you're up early," Minato said as he kneeled down so that he was at the same level as his son. Naruto's only reply was a slight nod. "Are you okay?" Minato asked, very concerned. Naruto nodded again. "You sure?" Minato eyed him curiously. Naruto only shrugged. "That's not very reassuring." Minato gave him a weak laugh. "Couldn't sleep?" Naruto shook his head. "Oh, I see," Minato nodded. "Why couldn't you sleep?" Naruto shrugged again. "Just when I thought Naruto was starting to open up to me, something like this happens and I have to start all over again." Minato sighed. "Was it a nightmare?" Naruto looked down and nodded. "About last night?" Minato asked again. Naruto nodded again. Minato sighed. He pulled Naruto into him and held him tight. "I'm so sorry, Naruto. I haven't been a very good father. I haven't been able to protect you. If Kushina was here, then." "Stop, Toussaint," Naruto whispered and gently pushed his father away. "What?" Minato responded. "It's not your fault, Toussaint," Naruto shook his head. "You've been the best dad. I think that if anyone else were my dad, they would hate me for being the Jinchuriki. But you love me for me. And I know Mom would too." "Oh, Naruto," Minato smiled at Naruto and pulled him into another hug. "Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this won't affect Naruto as much as I thought it would. And besides, what doesn't kill me only makes me stronger," Naruto whispered. "Who told you that?" Minato pulled back to look at Naruto. "Hachi." Naruto smiled. "Oh, he did?" Minato laughed. Naruto nodded. "I'll wait to ask Naruto what happened last night. He's got a long day and I don't want to ruin his first day as a shinobi." "Toussaint? What's for breakfast?" Naruto asked. "I don't know. What would like?" Minato smiled. Naruto thought for a moment. "Tamago cake gohan and Mom's ramen." Minato laughed. "Well, aren't we hungry this morning?" Naruto nodded. Minato stood up and held his hand out for his son to take, and Naruto did. The two men headed to the kitchen and started their routine for the day. "Okay," Irika started as everyone had taken their seats in the classroom for the last time. "You will be separated into groups of 3. The group will be led by a jonin." Naruto was listening to Irika talk about the duties of a genin, while unknowing that most of the other genin were watching Naruto, whispering about his lineage and the secrets he kept from them. "Alright, let's start with groups," Irika smiled. "I wonder who is going to be with Naruto," Ino whispered to Sakura. "I don't know, but it would be pretty cool to be on the same team as the last Uchiha or the 4th's son," Sakura smiled. "Yeah, it would," Ino replied, leaning down on her elbows. "I pity the guy who is with you," Shikamaru huffed. "And Team 7 is Uzumaki Naruto, Hanuro Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke," Irika said. "Really? I'm on the same team as Naruto and Sasuke?" Sakura blinked. Lucky Ino rolled her eyes. "Team 8, Inazuka Kiba, Aburame Shino and Hyuga Hinata," Irika continued. "I'm not on the same team with Naruto," Hinata thought to herself. "Team 10 is Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akimichi Choji," Irika finished up. "You will meet you Jonin leaders this afternoon. Until then you are on break." "Naruto!" a voice called from behind. Naruto was walking a familiar path to his father's office. His hands were shoved in his pockets and his head was hanging. When he heard the voice, Naruto stopped in his tracks and turned around to find Shikamaru, Choji and several others standing in a group. They seemed to be following him. "Yeah?" Naruto replied without fully turning around. "Where are you heading?" Choji asked, munching on a bag of potato chip. Naruto mumbled, "Toussaint's office. I didn't bring lunch." "Your dad? You mean the 4th? Ino asked. Yeah," Naruto nodded as he turned around to face the group. "How come you never told us that the Hokage was your dad?" Sakura asked. Naruto only shrugged in response. You have to have a reason, Shikamaru pushed. I do, but that doesn't mean I have to share that reason with you, Naruto argued. That's true, Shikamaru nodded, but I think we are going to push until you do. Fine, the reason I didn't tell anyone is because I didn't want to be treated like some celebrity just because of my lineage. I wanted to be a normal kid, Naruto explained. But I guess my plan backfired. I wasn't treated normally. I was treated horribly. If those shinobi knew who I was, then I wouldn't have been treated too badly. Hindsight is always 20/20, I guess. Makes sense, Shikamaru shrugged. Do you know who our sensei is going to be? Sakura asked. No, I don't. Toussaint doesn't share information with me, Naruto shook his head. So why did make everyone think you were stupid? Kiba snorted. Because there are several smart people in my class. If a kid like me were determined to be a genius, then they would have put 2 and 2 together. My looks plus my grades, someone would have figured out my link to the Hokage, Naruto explained. He really is a lot smarter than we thought, Shikamaru thought to himself. Now, if you'll excuse me, I would like to eat, and normally Toussaint will buy me food, Naruto said as he turned around and waved to the group. Naruto started to walk away from the group, and silently thanked for the silence until he heard some feet running up to him. Naruto sighed heavily and looked over to see who it was that followed him. The blonde was surprised to see the dark hair and blue clothes. Uchiha Sasuke? Naruto gave the raven a confused look, and it was returned with a leave-it-alone look. Naruto rolled his eyes and made his way to his father's office. The pair walked in silence as they headed towards the Hokage Tower. Naruto was tempted to ask the Uchiha why he was tagging along but decided to drop it, seeing how Sasuke didn't really have a family anymore, and Naruto really didn't mind. They walked up the stairs, down the hallways and past the secretary to the Hokage's office. Toussaint? Naruto called as he walked through the door. Oh, Naruto, Minato blinked as he looked away from all the paper on his desk. The office was empty except for basics. Minato was sitting at the large oak desk that sat in the center of the room facing away from the wall of windows that overlooked the village. There was a pile after pile of paper on the desk. Minato put the pen down and sat up. He then noticed that Naruto wasn't alone. I thought you were at the academy, Minato asked. I was, but we have an hour break and I didn't bring lunch again, Naruto explained. Oh, and you brought Sasuke with you? Minato motioned towards the raven standing by the door. Naruto shrugged, he tagged along. You know who I am, Hokage-sama? Sasuke asked. Minato chuckled lightly, of course. I know almost everyone in the village. Oh, Sasuke replied. Toussaint, can we go get lunch? Naruto asked. Naruto, I am swamped with paperwork. I can't get lunch right now, Minato sighed. I can give you money, then you and Sasuke can go get some ramen. I guess that's fine, Naruto shrugged. Okay, Minato nodded. Naruto strolled over and received the money from his father, then started heading out the door. Oh. Toussaint, Naruto asked, who is my sensei? Minato laughed, it's a surprise. Dang, Naruto pouted, then headed to one of his favorite places. The future rivals walked silently side by side until they reached the ramen stand. They each sat down on one of the stools, not next to each other of course, placed their orders and waiting in silence to receive their lunch. It was strange for both boys to eat with another classmate. They both had been alone for some times during their time in the academy, that they didn't know how to act exactly. So they remained silent. When their food arrived, they considered it a good excuse to remain quiet. Of course, Naruto finished his first, and waited on the raven to finish as well. So, why did you tag along? Naruto asked, almost scaring everyone. If I didn't I would have been mobbed by fangirls, Sasuke shrugged. Oh, Naruto replied. Your dad seems pretty nice, Sasuke mumbled. Yeah, he is, Naruto agreed. We better head back to the academy. We don't want to be late to meet our sensei. Sasuke huffed. Naruto paid for their food and stuffed the change in his pocket. The pair walked silently back to the academy. The rest of the class was already in the classroom, gossiping, talking, and the like when Naruto and Sasuke walked in. Iruka followed shortly afterwards and told everyone to take their seats. Iruka explained that each Jonin would come in and pick up their team. After that, the genin were instructed to follow their sensei's orders. Each Jonin came and left with their team, leaving Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura waiting for theirs. He's late, Naruto mumbled. was Sasuke's only reply. I wonder why, Sakura thought aloud. After 2 hours of waiting, the three genin started getting restless. Naruto started pacing. Sakura watched Naruto walk back and forth while Sasuke had fallen asleep. Then suddenly, scaring the three, the door opened and a head popped in. Gravity-defying silver hair, a dark blue mask and only one eye visible was the first thing the genin saw. Follow me, the jonin instructed. The genin did as they were told and followed the tall jonin up the stairs to the roof of the academy. The silver-haired man instructed the three to sit on the small steps as he leaned against the railing. All right, let's introduce ourselves, the jonin said. The three younger sat there for a moment before the older man got the notion that he should start, but hesitated to see what those three would do. He had their files, so he knew what he needed to know about each one. Although, judging their skills versus their personalities was definitely different. He knew the blonde extremely well, based on their past experiences, and he knew Sasuke from the psychological analysis that was done on him after the Uchiha massacre, but the pink-haired girl he knew nothing about, besides that he personality. Sensei? The Rosetta raised her hand. Yes? The jonin replied, jumping him from his thoughts. Would we get to know something about you first? Oh yes, the man nodded. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I have no desire to tell you my likes or dislikes, and as for my dream for the future, Kakashi looked at each of the genin's face. It looked like he was going to have to drag it out of the you. Blondie. Introduce yourself. Naruto looked at the man with a curious expression. It was almost half surprise or what you would call the deer in the headlights look mixed with confusion and suspicion, but the boy did as he was told. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, especially ramen from Ichiraku's. I dislike school. My dream is to become better than any of the Hokages. Okay, next, Kakashi nodded. My name is Hanuro Sakura. I like reading and training. I dislike him. My dream is to become the best kunoichi in the village, the pink-haired girl said. Kakashi nodded. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have many likes and several dislikes. My dream, or ambition rather, is kill a certain man and resurrect my clan, Sasuke said with a serious face. Good, now that we have all introduced ourselves, we can move on, Kakashi said, pretty much ignoring the introductions. Tomorrow we will start your duties as shinobi. What are we going to do, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked. Kakashi, I could get used to that. We are going to be completing a survival exercise, Kakashi said bluntly. But we did plenty of those in academy, Sakura said with a slightly confused tone. I know, Kakashi shrugged, but this time, I am going to be your opponent. You? A jonin with a presumably high rank, versus 3 recently promoted genin? That hardly seems fair, Naruto complained. Kakashi just shrugged in response, then pushed off the rail he was leaning against. Meet me at training field 7 at 6 am tomorrow. Here are the details, he said, handing them each a piece of paper. Oh, and don't eat breakfast, or you'll throw up. Each of them nodded, before the silver-haired jonin disappeared in a puff of smoke. The 3 genin sat in silence for what seemed like an eternity. What now? Naruto suddenly said to no one in particular. I don't know, Sakura replied. We could go train? I'm going to head home, Sasuke said as he stood up. I'll see you 3 in the morning. I'm going to head home too, Naruto said as he followed suit. See ya, Sakura. Bye guys, Sakura waved to the 2 boys and headed home as well. Tusan? Naruto said as he opened the door to his father's office. Minato looked up from his desk and found his son standing halfway through the door of his office. The older blonde smiled and waved the young genin in. Naruto stepped in and clicked the door closed behind him, then stepped over to his father's desk. You wanted to see me after school today? Naruto asked. Yes, I wanted to talk to you about what happened last night, Minato explained, waving Naruto around the back of the desk. But did Ibiki already look through my memories? Naruto asked, puzzled. He did, but there were some missing, Minato continued as he leaned his elbows on his knees so he was more at Naruto's level, so I wanted to ask you, plus I wanted to be sure that you were okay. I'm fine, Tusan, Naruto replied. Well, good, Minato chuckled. So do you want to explain what happened last night? I'll try to, Naruto shrugged. Minato nodded. Go on. Well, Mizuki attacked me just after you left me last night. He had Mom's scroll. I don't know how he got it. He told me that I needed to retrieve the scroll and he would trade me. I didn't want to give him the scroll. I knew you would be mad and it would end up bad, but he had Mom's scroll, Naruto explained, and his voice started to break as he continued. So, I thought of a plane where I learned the Kage Bunshin from the scroll and make a fake. I sent the fake to field where I knew no one would find it. Then I deceived Mizuki with the fake then. Then what happened, Naruto? Minato pushed, starting to get slightly worried. I'm not sure, Naruto shook his head, then grabbed one side with his hand. It's kind of hazy. Try, please, Minato said. I think I made 1,000 or so shadow clones, but not with my chakra, Naruto tried to explain. It's like this red chakra, almost like it was from my anger at Mizuki. The Kyuubi. I ordered the clones to attack Mizuki, Naruto continued, then I dispersed them and everything went back to normal, but during the whole time, it felt like I had the red aura around me. I see, Minato nodded. That's why Ibiki couldn't see it. The Kyuubi was preventing it, but why? Why did the Kyuubi lend Naruto chakra? Why did the Kyuubi prevent Ibiki from seeing Naruto's memories? Something's not adding up. Tusan? Naruto asked, shaking Minato from his thoughts. Why are my memories so hazy? What's that red chakra? And that red aura? Naruto, Minato started. I think it was the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi? Naruto repeated. Why would I use the Kyuubi's chakra? Well, the seal I created to seal the Kyuubi into you allows you to draw on the Kyuubi's chakra, but if he doesn't want you using it, you can't, Minato explained. So he let me use it? Naruto asked. That's what I assumed happened, Minato replied, but Naruto, using that chakra can come at a price. A price? Minato nodded. A Jinchuriki can tap into the tailed beast chakra for his or her own power. However, using such chakra can be harmful to the Jinchuriki, with the host's body and mind being influenced or even taken over by his or her demon. Oh, so the Kyuubi can take over my mind and body if I use too much chakra? Naruto asked. Yes, Minato nodded. Did Mom ever have problems with the Kyuubi's chakra? Naruto asked after a moment of silence. Not too many that I could recall, but there were a few missions we went on where I could tell that she drew on the Kyuubi's chakra, but her seal, if I remember correctly, didn't let her draw on the chakra as much as yours does, Minato explained. But Naruto, don't think too much about it. You are strong enough to handle the Kyuubi. If you weren't, I wouldn't have sealed him into you. I know, Tusan. Naruto smiled. Good, Minato reached up and ruffled Naruto's hair. Tusan, I have one more question. Naruto looked up at his father from underneath his hand. What is it? Minato blinked at the other blonde. What's Hachi's real name? Naruto asked. Shouldn't you be asking me that? A voice came from the window behind Naruto. Naruto turned around and looked at the man standing in the window. Hachi. Minato started chuckling behind his son, as Naruto confronted the ANBU still sitting in the window. Naruto turned around to see why his father was laughing, but turned back around. Kakashi-sensei? Naruto questioned. The ANBU laughed slightly, then his hand moved towards his mask. He removed it to reveal the slightly tilted Hittite and a blue mask distorting the lower half of the man's face. You are Kakashi-sensei! Naruto exclaimed, then turned to his father. Why did you make Hachi my sensei, Tusan? Minato chuckled lightly. He's one of the only qualified people I trusted. Oh, Naruto replied, then walked over to where Kakashi was still perched on the window. Naruto motioned for him to come down to his height. Kakashi stepped down from the window and crouched down in front of the blonde. What is Kakashi started, but before he could finish his sentence, a fist had collided with his face. Naruto! Minato shouted, jumping up from his chair. Ugh, Kakashi moaned as he grabbed his face. Where the hell were you? Naruto yelled. If you had been there, the whole thing with Mizuki would have never happened. Ugh, I'm sorry, Naruto, Kakashi murmured as he looked up into those blue eyes that were becoming misty. I know I wasn't there to protect you, because I was deceived as well by Mizuki. It's not an excuse. I regret not being able to protect you, I really do. I have beat myself up about it. And you are right, if I had been there, nothing would have happened. All I want is to protect and now to be able to teach you the ways of a shinobi. I am really sorry. Please forgive me, Naruto. It's okay, Hachi, Naruto whispered, I forgive you. I was just angry about it, because I didn't know where you were or if you had just abandoned me like all the others. I'm sorry for punching you. Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. It's alright. It's in the past, and know that I will never abandon you ever. Naruto only nodded in response. I will teach you to the best of my ability, along with Sasuke and Sakura. I will protect you three with my life, know that, Kakashi said. I will, thank you Hachi, Naruto smiled. You don't get to call me that, Kakashi said. What? Naruto replied a little hurt. It's Kakashi-sensei to you, Kakashi replied. Naruto pouted. Minato sat and watched his son and his student throughout this discussion. It made him feel like he was a decent father, seeing how much Naruto matured. It brought joy to his heart knowing that Kakashi seemed to love Naruto like a little brother. It was almost like he had two sons. Naruto looked up to Kakashi, and now that he was Naruto's sensei, the little blonde would be in good hands. The door to Minato's office in the Hokage Tower creaked open then slowly clicked shut. The blonde Hokage didn't look up because he knew exactly who had shuffled into his office. He chuckled softly to himself as he heard a soft thud as the small couch in the corner gave way to the small 12-year-old boy flop down. He continued to be amused by the miniature version of himself as the said blonde groaned in pain. It continued to be silent in his office aside from the sporadic grunts from the younger blonde. Then when Minato finally looked up when the sound had ceased for a good length of time, he noticed his son had fallen asleep in a strangely awkward position on the couch. Minato sighed knowing he had two options as he looked up at the clock. It was about time to go home. He could either wake Naruto up and never hear the end of it, or he could carry Naruto home, or he could just flash home with Naruto. He was not above abusing the Hiraishin in such as a way. Chuckling to himself, he stood up, gathered his belongings, and then strolled over to the sleeping genin. Minato kneeled down and watched his son sleep for a few moments. The sweet expression on the elder's face slowly turned down into a frown as he noticed that Naruto had never looked this peaceful. Being Konoha's Jinchuriki was surprisingly stressful on the young boy. He knew how hard it was on Kushina, but he had hoped Naruto wouldn't go through the same thing being the Yandame's son. He had hoped the village would see Naruto as a hero, a sacrifice being the next Jinchuriki, but that's not how the village saw him. They only saw him as a demon, a murder. And there is nothing Minato could do to change that. There is no law that says the villagers couldn't have their own opinions. Naruto told him the villagers have never physically harmed him. Name-calling and empty threats aren't illegal, even if Minato wanted it to be. The shinobi who had hurt Naruto were already been punished. Naruto is going to have to prove himself to the villagers. But he knew Naruto could do exactly that. Minato sighed as he watching his son silently sleep. Then he wondered, if Naruto is going through this much, what kind of life would his son have if his wife had let him go through with his plan? Leaving Naruto an orphan? Would Kakashi or Jiraiya have stepped up? Would Tsunade or Sarutobi? Or would Naruto be alone? What kind of father would Naruto think he was, sealing the Kyuubi in him, and then abandoning him? For the first time in a while, Minato could feel the guilt. The guilt for letting his wife die. The guilt for almost making his son an orphan. The guilt for making his son a Jinchuriki. Some father he was. He placed his hand on the side of Naruto's face, carefully making sure he didn't wake him. How could he do such a thing to his son? Then it dawned on him. Because he knew Naruto was strong. The young blonde had already proved that to him. Naruto was strong, but he had a long way to go. Minato was going to make sure Naruto would get there. Maybe Naruto needed to get out of the village for a while? Get him away from the villagers for a few days? Minato took a deep breath. He would think about it for a while. He scooped up the younger and flashed home. Surprisingly not waking the blonde, he laid him down on the couch just outside the dining room. Minato headed to the kitchen and started making the one thing he knew Naruto would wake up for. Later on, Naruto heard noise from the kitchen, and upon waking up the smell of home-man ramen filled his nose. Then it hit him. How did he get home? Shaking his head, Naruto scrambled to his feet and patted his way to the kitchen, to find his father wearing the only thing that could make the flea-on-sight Yandame Hokage look like a girly wimp, the pink apron. "Tusan?" Naruto mumbled, still groggy from his nap. "Oh, Naruto, you're up." Minato turned around and gave his son a weak smile. "Good, I'm just about done. Go sit at the table and I'll bring a couple of plates." Naruto nodded and dragged himself to the table, plopping down in the same seat he sat in for years. The young genin propped his elbows up on the table and rested his head on his palms. His eyes still closed, heard the slight clatter of a bowl being placed in front of him, after a few shuffled footsteps from the kitchen. Then those same footsteps were heard heading to the opposite side of the table. Another soft clink of a bowl being placed on the table, followed by the scratching noise of wood sliding on wood as his father pulled the chair out, then again when he scooted the chair back in. He even felt the slight vibrations when the bowls were placed on the table. His ears twitched slightly when he heard his father pick a pair of chopsticks and when the small wood sticks clinked on the edge of the bowl. "You're getting good, Naruto," Minato smiled. "However, you're still using too much chakra to lengthen your senses. Even, I can sense it, though I'm not a sensory type." Now open your eyes and eat. Naruto smiled and did as he was told. He sat up, picked up his own chopsticks, and started eating his favorite food. Minato and his son sat in silence eating their dinner. Even though it was silent, they were both content. Naruto finished his food before his father did. Naruto sat his chopsticks down and folded his hands in his lap. He closed his eyes and stretched his chakra out. The cough from his father indicated that he was using way too much chakra. His father and sensei had both told him that he had an extreme amount of chakra. Kakashi even once said that Naruto's chakra pools were almost 4 times the amount of his. If he pushed too much of his chakra out, he could choke someone on chakra. It was that potent. Naruto took a deep breath and tried to suppress his chakra without impairing the senses he was picking up. It was rather difficult. Naruto took another deep breath. He was picking up mostly sound from the drip from the kitchen sink, to air blowing from the fan in his father's office. The small clinking coming from his father's bowl to the wind blowing through the tall grass in the backyard. The smells he was picking up, well, that's another story. Everything from the smell of ramen from dinner, to the grass in the backyard, and even a slight burning smell from the kitchen stood out. Then something stood out to Naruto. It wasn't a smell or sound. He couldn't pin it as a taste. It definitely wasn't something he felt. Since his eyes were closed, it wasn't something he was seeing. So what was it? It was familiar yet distant, like he couldn't reach it, even though it was right in front of him. He opened his eyes to find his father staring back at him with the same blue eyes. Is it? Minato's clear blue eyes suddenly turned dark. He was worried. Naruto gave a smile to clear the worry off of his father's face. I sense something, but I can't quite place what it is. I don't know how to explain it. You sense something? Minato smiled suspiciously, giving Naruto a feeling in the pit of his stomach. Yes, Naruto said slowly, it's weird. It's like it's there, and familiar, but I can't reach it. I can't touch, but it's right there in front of me. The younger blonde shook his head in frustration. Minato gave a slight chuckle, scaring Naruto. It's chakra. Chakra? Naruto repeated. How can I sense someone else's chakra? I'm not that advanced yet. Even you said you can only sense chakra when there's a lot of it. Minato continued smiling. Simple, you've inherited Uzumaki sensory skills. Sensory? Yes, being a sensory type means you can sense others' chakra no matter the amount of chakra. It's probably why you can pick up my chakra, even though I'm flaring it, Minato explained. Wait, Naruto thought for a moment, I don't understand. I'm a sensory type? Minato smiled. He can be as dense as Kushina. Yes, Naruto. You are a sensory type. Well, at least I believe you are. I mean, no other 12-year-old genin can pick up chakra unless they have some sensory skills. But let's test it, shall we? Test it? Naruto questioned. Yes, stretch out your chakra, without choking me please, but particularly looking for that same sense you felt earlier, Minato instructed. Okay, Naruto nodded, then closed his eyes and pushed out his chakra at a semi-controlled rate. Minato sucked in a sharp breath as Naruto's chakra hit him like a ton of bricks, but he kept it together, as he wanted his son to find his sensory skills. Naruto heard his father suck in a breath, so he tried to level it out as much as he could. Maybe I need to bring Jiraiya back to help Naruto with his chakra control. With his amount and his seal, his chakra control is impeccable, but to everyone else it's subpar. Naruto continued to stretch out his chakra as much as he could without physically harm his father. Everything was being sharper, clearer than it ever has been. But Naruto had something to focus on. Pushing all the smells and sounds that were rushing at him. He focused on that one thing that he was unable to place earlier. Now that he was looking for them, they were suddenly presenting themselves. All over the place, not just in front of him, but all around him. It was insane. He pushed it out more. He wanted to know more. He continued to push his chakra out more, farther, so see whom he could find. Maybe having this much chakra wouldn't be bad. He could stretch it out so far. He was beginning to sense even the smallest chakra signatures. He was so focused he didn't hear his father coughing, and trying to get his attention. Naruto! Minato almost screamed, jerking Naruto out of his concentration and sucking in his chakra. Shit, Minato breathed. That's it. Jiraiya is coming back. I don't care if I have to force him. This kid is going to kill me. I'm sorry, Tusan, Naruto lowered his head. It's not your fault, Naruto. You have a massive chakra pool, but that's not the only problem. I didn't tell you this because I didn't want to freak you out, but the seal I created for you actually allows a minuscule amount of the Kyuubi's chakra to continuously leak into yours. It was a protection mechanism, because the Kyuubi's chakra is harmful and I didn't want it to poison you, so to speak. So when that much of your chakra comes at someone, well, it's not the amount, It's the Kyuubi's chakra that lies within it, Minato explained. Oh, is that why I have such a large amount of chakra? Naruto asked. No, you have a large amount because you are an Uzumaki, Minato smiled. With the chakra you have right now, only about 1% of it is the Kyuubi's. However, because no one else has become accustomed to the demonic chakra, it's hard on them. Oh, okay, Naruto replied, processing it. He's definitely Kushina's son. Anyways, let's not try that again, until we help you increase your chakra control. Minato lightly laughed, but Naruto knew he was serious. What has Kakashi taught you about chakra control? Some, I guess, Naruto shrugged. We've learned tree climbing, and we have started the basics of walking on water. However, it's not coming along very well. I see, Minato said. I have a proposition for you. What is it? Naruto asked. I'm going on a diplomatic trip to Suna and I would you to accompany me, Minato said. Really? I get to leave the village? Naruto stood up. Minato laughed. Yes, Naruto. As long as it is okay with your sensei. Naruto gave his father an are you kidding me? Look, really? What? Minato blinked. He's your student, Naruto complained. Minato scratched the back of his head sheepishly, and Naruto rolled his eyes and picked up both his and his father's bowls and headed to the kitchen. Minato chuckled at Naruto's satirical frustration. He used to do the same to Kushina. He followed Naruto into the kitchen to help with clean up. The two blondes cleaned up their dinner in silence. So when would we leave? Naruto asked, looking up at his father. 3 days, Minato replied without looking at his son. The tone of Minato's voice worried Naruto. Two-san, are you alright? Naruto asked. What? Minato was suddenly shaken from his thoughts and looked down at the other blonde. Are you alright? Naruto repeated. Oh yes, Minato smiled and ruffled the young one's hair. I was just thinking about your mom. I miss her. Oh, Naruto replied, I wish I had met her. You will one day, Minato smiled sadly. When? Naruto pleaded. Honestly, I don't know, Minato shook his head. I wish I did. Oh, okay, Naruto mumbled and finished the dishes in silence. It had been a total of 4 months since Naruto had graduated, passed the bell test and became as full shinobi. Although he was stuck on a team with Sasuke team and the Banshee Sakura, life wasn't all that bad. He had a great sensei, and was learning a lot from both his father and sensei. He finally felt he was on the right path. He even learned he was a sensory type. Words can't even describe how excited Naruto was to tell Kakashi, or how excited Kakashi was for him, even if Minato had already warned Kakashi about Naruto trying to spread his chakra and almost causing those around him to choke. Kakashi knew he had to take Naruto's chakra control a bit more serious than the other two. Naruto was preparing to leave for Suna soon, after he received permission from his sensei to go. Naruto stood at the base of the tree in the center between Sasuke and Sakura, each at their own tree. Naruto made the ram hand sign and focused chakra at the bottom of his feet. Even though each of them had mastered tree climbing long ago, they still need to perfect it to the point where they didn't have to focus so much on getting the correct amount of chakra. Once Naruto was satisfied with the amount of chakra he collected, he slowly started walking up the tree. Naruto, you're focusing too much on the chakra in your feet, Kakashi offered, standing off leaning up against the tree, semi-watching his students and semi-reading that familiar orange book. It needs to become more natural. Hi, Naruto replied without missing a beat. Sakura, that's almost perfect. It's becoming more and more natural for you, Kakashi continued. Sasuke, something as Naruto. You are putting too much effort. Although you can do it, it's taking too much of your attention. Hi, Sakura and Sasuke chimed. Once Naruto and his teammates had made it to the top of the tree for the 100th time that morning, Kakashi offered a break. The 4 members of Team 7 sat in a circle. Kakashi seemed to be falling asleep, Naruto was stuffing his face, Sakura was eating quietly, and Sasuke was eating politely. The 4 stayed quiet, until Sakura spoke up. Naruto, is it true you are going to Suna? Sakura asked, catching everyone's attention. Yeah, Two-san offered to take me along, and since I've never been out of the village I thought it would be cool if I went, Naruto shrugged. Well, that's cool, Sakura smiled. I wonder if you'd be able to meet the Kazekage. Sakura, you know about the Kages? Kakashi asked. Hi, we learned a little bit about them in school. I was curious so I went looking around, Sakura smiled as she explained to her sensei. I see, Kakashi nodded. Well, Two-san did say it was a diplomatic mission, Naruto thought. maybe I will get to meet the Kazekage. I wonder if he is as scary as Tusan can be. Probably, he is the Kazekage, Sasuke replied sarcastically. Naruto rolled his eyes and finished his lunch. Kakashi excused his team in order for Naruto to prepare for his trip to Suna in the morning. The silver-haired shinobi caught up with his favorite student on his way home. Kakashi-sensei? Naruto called as the man showed up next to him. Naruto, you know, the only reason I am letting you go to Suna is because Minato-sensei gave me permission to be one of the escorts for you and your father, Kakashi laughed. Really? So you're coming with us? What about Sasuke and Sakura? Naruto thought out loud. Those two might be joining with Team 10 for a C-rank escort mission to the Land of Waves, Kakashi shrugged. What? Naruto yelled, I am missing our first C-rank mission. Calm down, Naruto. Kakashi rolled his eyes at one of Naruto's many outbursts. It's not 100% decided. The mission might be too much for a Genin team. There have been reports that missing Nin are after this client. So we are probably going to send a group of Chunin with him instead. So those two are probably going to be joining Team 8 for reconnaissance training. Oh good, Naruto smiled, but you are coming with us? Well, sort of, Kakashi scratched the back of his head sheepishly. I'll be there but in the shadows. I'm going to be an ANBU escort. Oh, so I won't see you, Naruto pouted. Nope, not if I do my job right, Kakashi laughed. Plus I think Minato-sensei wanted to use this trip as a father-son thing anyways, so it's best that I stay out of the way. Oh, okay then, Naruto replied. He may teach you a new jutsu or two, Kakashi hinted. Really? Naruto asked. Maybe? Kakashi shrugged. Like what? Naruto said with a much too excited voice. I don't know. Kakashi replied with a laugh. I don't even know if he is. I just told him he should. Oh, Naruto said slowly. I'm sure he'll teach you something, Kakashi said as he ruffled Naruto's hair. I hope so, Naruto smiled. Minato sat at his desk, finishing up the paperwork for his trip to Suna tomorrow with Naruto. Although the Fleon-side Hokage would never admit it, he felt like a giddy little kid about this trip. He and Naruto haven't really been able to spend much time with each other due to time constraints. It would be 3 days there and 3 days back, and Minato was planning on using that time to get Naruto to open up to him more and maybe just maybe teach Naruto a thing or two. Minato was shaken from his thoughts when a little green and yellow frog had jumped up on the desk. Minato narrowed his eye at the little amphibian, then laughed knowing it was Jiraiya that had sent the little guy. Alright, give me the message and you can go home, Minato chuckled at the little frog. However, said little frog opened its mouth and spit out a scroll that was sealed. Minato grabbed the scroll and waved at the frog indicating it was excused. He made several hand signs and unsealed the scroll. It was indeed a message from Jiraiya. Gaki. I will return to Konoha shortly to teach your brat a thing or two about chakra control and double-check his seal and whatnot. Give yourself credit, you created that damn thing in the first place. I'll be there shortly after you return from Suna. Keep your brat in line till then. The great MT Myaboku sage. Jiraiya. Well, I guess I will just have to keep an eye on Naruto on our trip, Minato sighed. He had hoped he would accompany them on the trip and teach Naruto while they travel, as well as keep an eye on Naruto while he took care of the diplomatic business. Minato made a few hand signs, and then held his hand out flat with the scroll on top. A few seconds late, the scroll caught fire and was destroyed. Having a fire affinity comes in handy when destroying documents, as a Hokage. Minato furrowed his eyebrows and thought for a moment, and then a grin came to his face. I guess that's what we can do while we travel. Minato chuckled lightly, then reached into one of the drawers in his desk and pulled out a few sheets of chakra paper. I wonder what affinity Naruto is? Kushina was water and earth, while I am fire and lighting. He could be any of those. Naruto. Minato Namikaze was a man of skill. He could kill men without them even realizing it. He could track down and take out a group of Kumo ninja when he was only 12. Hell, he could even outrun the Raikage. But for the life of him, he could not get his son out of the house on time. Minato scowled as he stomped through the hallway towards his son's room. He was late as it is, and suddenly he was second-guessing taking his son to Suna with him. Minato grabbed the door handle and swung the door open, revealing an empty room. Minato was taken aback by the empty room and started to stretch out his chakra to find that chakra he knows oh so well. He slammed the doors shut and stomped back to the kitchen, grabbed his pack and headed to the front door. Once outside he found his son, his son's chakra signature, however the sight of the little blonde escaped him. Minato looked around and finally found the little blonde squatting on a nearby tree branch right about another familiar face. Minato opened his mouth to say something when he realized what his little one was about to do. Naruto had a devious look on his face, and the other's emotion was indiscernible due to the mask that was obscuring his face. Minato shut his mouth and chuckled. Might as well let his son have fun before they left. It would keep the chances of his playing pranks on his father lower. Besides, when does Naruto ever let his rambunctious side take over? So, he let his son have his fun. Kushina, you really do live on inside him. You would be proud. Naruto smiled, then crouched down even further, preparing himself to jump. Naruto sprang into action, jumping off the branch to the one holding up the other shinobi. Minato watched in amusement as Naruto tried to outmaneuver the experienced ANBU with little success. The blue-clad shinobi spun around on the branch at the last second, catching Naruto mid-fall, causing both to tumble down to the ground. But as experienced as the ANBU was, he spun in air like cat and landed on his feet, holding Naruto like a log underneath his left arm. Naruto peeked open his eyes to see his father chuckling at him. Naruto, I'm an S-rank ANBU, and you are a young genin. Did you truly believe that would be successful? The masked man asked. Only a hump sound was returned. The masked man placed Naruto down on his feet, only for said blonde to cross his arms and grumble some inaudible and most likely inappropriate words. Are you two done fooling around? Minato asked. We are late as it is. Hi, Hokage-sama, the ANBU replied, straightening up. Yeah, Naruto mumbled and grabbed his bag that was situated on the stairs leading down from the front door. Alright then, Minato sighed, let's head out then. Tusan? Naruto called. Yes, Naruto? Minato replied. It had been half a day since the duet had left the village. Naruto was surprisingly quiet most of the trip, which worried Minato. Minato could tell that Naruto was getting bored from just traveling, but he didn't want to show Naruto his affinity until tomorrow. Somehow Naruto got the idea in his head that his father was going to teach him a new jutsu. How long does it take to get to Suna? Naruto asked. Minato glanced down at his son. He was expecting an "Are we there yet?" Well, about 3 days' time. Well, that's going to take forever, Naruto replied with an oh-so-familiar overly dramatic tone. Ah, there's Kushina's side showing itself again. Minato laughed. It won't take forever, Naruto. Not if I give you something to work on to pass the time. Naruto stopped in his tracks as his eyes brightened. What is it? Minato stopped and turned around with an amused look on his face. Well, I was going to see which chakra affinity you have. Then have you start working on controlling it. But we have to keep walking or it really will take forever to get there. Minato continued to walk as he pulled a piece of chakra paper out of his bag and held it up to demonstrate it to Naruto. Each shinobi have a main chakra affinity of one of the 5 elements: water, earth, fire, wind, or lighting. While you will have a main one, you can manipulate others as well through practice. Most by Jonin level can use 2, while a small number can have 3 or even 4. You can have all 5? Naruto asked as they continued walking again. Technically it's possible, Minato explained. To obtain 1, 2 or even 3 chakra natures takes years of practice. Due to the amount of time it takes for one to master 1 chakra nature, we consider it practically impossible to master all 5 and rare to master 4. However, that being said, there has only been one shinobi in history to have mastered all 5 elements. Who? The Sage of the Six Paths, Minato answered, stopping his son mid-sentence when he started to ask who that was while simultaneously handing his son the chakra paper. Now, my affinity is mainly fire, then several years later, lighting. I can also use a bit of water. And a bit of wind, but you don't need to know that, son. Your mother's was water then earth. Pour a small amount of your chakra into the paper. If you are water, it will become wet. Earth, it will crumple. Lighting, it will wrinkle. Fire, it will burn, and wind will cut it in half. Naruto did as he was told and pushed a small amount of his chakra into his piece of paper. Surprising both Minato and the younger, the paper cut in half. Wind? Both blondes chimed at the same time. This took Minato back, but then remembering that the Namikaze are known for having wind affinities, however he thought Naruto would have had fire or water since those run in both sides of the family. Minato chuckled slightly before snatching one side of the paper out of Naruto's hand. Wind, huh? Minato repeated. I have wind, but neither you or mom had wind. Is that possible? Naruto asked. Well, yes. It is possible for a child to not take after their parents' affinities if another affinity happens run in their family. The Namikaze are known for having wind affinities as well as water, which is strange that I have either. Kaze actually means wind, while Nami means waves. My father had mainly water, and a slight wind. My mother was a clanless shinobi who had a fire affinity, while her father had lighting, leading to mine own affinity being mainly fire, while I can manipulate lighting and water. Your mother's clans, the Uzumakis, were known for having mainly water and earth, which is why your mother could use both. Understand? Minato tried to explain. I think so, Naruto nodded. Is one affinity stronger than another? No, each has their own weakness and their own strength. Balancing each other out, Minato replied. Really? Yes, fire, for example, is strong against wind, but weak against water, Minato tried to explain. There is a scroll back at home that will explain the strengths and weakness between chakra natures, as well as advanced types and Keki Genkai. Oh, okay, Naruto nodded. San? Yes? Is there a way I can find out if I have a second affinity? Well, no, Minato replied quickly, but then thought for a moment. I guess if you try to push chakra into these pieces that have your chakra already in them, then it may reveal another. You can try if you please. Naruto gave his father a large grin and pushed more of his chakra into the half piece of paper, and to everyone's surprise the paper started to burn. Fire, Minato smiled, then ruffled his son's hair as they continued walking, just like me. So now that I know what chakra affinity I am, what are we going to do? Naruto asked with a little too much enthusiasm. Well, you need to learn how to manipulate wind chakra, Minato replied. However, because of your lack in chakra control, I'm worried you aren't going to be able to handle the wind chakra. So for now I want to work on your chakra control. Oh, come on, San. Naruto moaned. More chakra control exercises. Yes, Naruto. More chakra control exercises. Minato chuckled at the pout on Naruto's face. Here's what I want you to do. Since we are walking, I can't have you walk up tree or walk on water, so I want you to use your chakra and try to hold a leaf to your forehead while paying attention to where you are walking. Understood? If he can master the leaf exercise, then I will begin to teach him the Rasengan. Moreover, I want to teach him the Rasengan before I want him handling the wind chakra. Once he can master the Rasengan, I know he will be able to handle the wind chakra. Yes, Naruto mumbled and reluctantly picked up a leaf on the ground and did what he was told. At first the leaf stuck, but seconds later it fell. Naruto furrowed his brows. This exercise was harder than his father let on. He picked up the leaf and tried again. Hours later, Naruto was still having difficulty keeping the leaf on his forehead. Too much chakra and the leaf would start to fall apart, however too little chakra and the leaf would just fall right off. Minato concentrated on traveling and his upcoming meeting with the Kazekage, but kept a watchful eye on his son, just in case. As the sun was about to set, Minato suggested they stop and set up camp for the night. Normally, Minato wouldn't bother with a camp, but since Naruto was with him, he thought he should. Later on, the two blondes were sitting across from each other with a small fire in between them. Naruto was playing with a small stick in the fire while Minato was reading one of the scrolls he brought with him. Naruto took a deep breath and let out a loud sigh, making Minato look up at him with a concerned look. Naruto didn't return the look but continued to stare at the stick he had in the fire. San? Naruto mumbled just loud enough for Minato to acknowledge his title. Yes? Minato replied as he continued to look over his scroll. Did Ka-chan have trouble with chakra like me? Naruto mumbled, still avoiding his father's gaze. I believe so, yes, Minato nodded. Really? Naruto stopped playing with the stick and looked up to meet those dazzling blues that mirrored his own, aside from the deep pain that seemed to resonate inside those orbs. Yes, although the Kyuubi's chakra wasn't mixing with her own, she was still an Uzumaki, Minato replied with a sad smile on his face. Those dazzling blue eyes seemed dark and slightly at the memories of his late wife. Naruto saw this, but somehow the desire for more information about his mom pushed him to ask more. What do you mean? Naruto replied. What do you mean she was still an Uzumaki? Naruto explained. Well, Uzumakis aren't just known for their longevity. They are also known for their remarkably large pools of chakra, Minato chuckled. Those large amounts of chakra help with their sealing abilities. With more chakra, the larger their seals can be made. However, with larger amounts of chakra, the harder it is to control. Which is why your mother had a hard time with chakra control like you. Oh, but she did learn it? Over time and with lots of practice, her chakra control was one of the best I have seen. It allowed her to create very large and detailed seals. I believe she also learned small amounts of medical jutsu, Minato explained. Was Mom a sensory type like me? No, I don't believe so, Minato shook his head. Oh, Naruto replied. I see a lot of your Ka-chan in you, Minato noted. Really? Naruto's eyes suddenly brightened. Yes, aside from the hair, you look more and more like her every day. She was very rambunctious, like you seem to be these days. Minato laughed. They didn't call her the red hot habanero for nothing. Red hot what? Naruto tried to repeat. The red hot habanero, Minato said. That was the nickname given to your mom back in the academy. Why? Naruto asked out of curiosity. Minato laughed, then grimaced at the memories of his young wife, pummeling their classmate back in the academy. You can ask her. Naruto gave his father a curious look, then shrugged it off. He would meet his mother one day soon. It was a day he couldn't wait for and often dreamed of what it would be like. What about you? Did you have a nickname? Minato laughed. I didn't get my nickname till years later. But I am the Yellow Flash. The Yellow Flash? Naruto repeated. Why that? Because of my speed, Minato replied. Your speed? Naruto asked. Minato raised an eyebrow at his son. Did he really not know how fast his father was? Yes, Minato nodded. Haven't you ever seen me use the Hiraishin? No. Naruto replied quickly. Wait, is that the thing with those weird kunai? Minato laughed again. Yes, that, Naruto. Is that why you are named the Yellow Flash? Yes, that's why, Minato nodded. Oh! Naruto exclaimed as if a light bulb went off in his head, then whispered to himself, the Yellow Flash and the Red Hot Habanero, speed and strength. I'm going to surpass them both. Although Naruto didn't know, his father did hear that last sentence. Minato eyed his son fondly and prayed that one day he would surpass both his parents, in both speed and strength. After all, each generation is supposed to be stronger than the last. Minato smiled at his young son. Let's get to bed, Naruto. We have a lot of walking to do in the morning. Okay, Naruto gave his dad a quick nod, and then the two blondes headed off to bed. San. It's not working, Naruto exclaimed, frustrated with the leaf still not sticking to his forehead properly. Well, it's not going to work with only a day of practice. It took your Kachan years to perfect her chakra control, Minato replied calmly as if his thoughts were elsewhere. Years? Naruto replied. Yes, years, Minato nodded as the two blondes continued to walk towards Suna. Naruto was getting frustrated and bored with the leaf exercise, and Minato knew he would have to do something or he would have a very rambunctious genin on his hands. The two were only a day away from Suna. They had been walking for well over half a day and they would arrive this time tomorrow afternoon. Minato sighed at the thought of dealing while a hyperactive Naruto for another day. Lost in his thoughts of what to do with Naruto, he missed the sense of another chakra nearby. Jolting Minato from his thoughts and Naruto from his exercise, the two blondes were suddenly surrounded by 6 ANBU. Instinctively, Minato pulled his son closer to him. What is it? Minato probed his subordinates. Did you not sense that chakra, sensei? Replied one of the ANBU with his back facing away from the blonde Hokage. Minato stretched his chakra as thin as it would go to find the unwanted visitor. Then he found it, and he knew exactly who it was. Minato whirled around, pushing Naruto behind him as he made eye contact with the red Sharingan he knew oh so well. Kakashi, take Naruto and your team and go, Minato ordered. I will deal with this. But... Go! Minato barked the order once again. Kakashi, doing as he is told, grabbed Naruto around the waist. San, Naruto called out. I will meet up with you soon, Naruto, Minato reassured his son with one of his legendary smiles, although with the worried look on Naruto's face, it seems his reassurance didn't work. Kakashi, along with Naruto and the other member of his escort team, took off in the direction of Suna. Using his chakra, Minato made sure they were well enough away from him before calling the Uchiha out. Itachi, Minato called as he turned back around to face where he had seen those red eyes, you can come out now. Hokage-sama. Itachi nodded in respect as he stepped into view. Itachi, I thought we were going to wait till after I returned from Suna to meet up, no? Minato asked in demanding voice. Yes, sir, however I came to warn you, Itachi replied bluntly. Warn me? Minato asked. May I? Itachi questioned. Knowing what Itachi wanted, Minato gave a short, quick nod right before he heard Itachi state something, and was sucked into some sort of genjutsu. What is this called again? Minato asked once he regained his composure. Tsukuyomi, Itachi replied. Minato and Itachi stood in a parallel universe, with considerable differences. the red moon casting a red light throughout the illusion with a cloudy atmosphere, giving the background a blood-red appearance while the rest within the illusion is depicted in an inverted gray scale. It seemed to Minato that inside this illusion Itachi created, a considerable amount of time passes, but time on the outside seemed to stand still. This place Itachi created was the only way the two could speak without interruption or eavesdropping. They could also speak for any length of time, without worry. "What did you mean you came to warn me?" Minato demanded. "The Akatsuki are moving earlier than I anticipated," Itachi replied. "Explain." "Yesterday afternoon, our leader called a meeting and gave out assignments. Each member was assigned a tailed beast to capture, most correlated to the village which we were affiliated," Itachi explained. "I thought they were waiting to obtain the tailed beasts, seeing as the Three Tails has still not been revived after the passing of the Yondaime Mizukage?" Minato pinched in the bridge of his nose. "They were, however something pushed Pain-sama to take action. The tailed beasts will be collected and sealed in order, starting with the Ichibi," Itachi continued. "The Ichibi is located in Suna," Minato confirmed with a slightly angry expression, unsurprisingly due to being currently heading in that direction. "Yes. Sasori and Deidara are headed there as we speak to obtain the beast," Itachi warned. "They will wait to obtain Naruto, seeing as how he is the last and strongest of the collection. However, that being said, if the opportunity presents itself to capture more than one, even if we aren't ready to seal it, they will take the advantage." "I see," Minato nodded. "You said the tailed beasts were assigned in order of villages. Does that mean?" "Yes, Naruto is my target," Itachi confirmed, "and he will be the last one to be obtained, and unfortunately I cannot give you an estimated time. It will all depend on how fast the others collect their targets." Minato sighed. He knew Naruto being a Jinchuriki would make him a potential target, but he thought he had a few more years before there would be any major threat to Naruto regarding the Kyuubi. However, that danger has seemed to move up in the schedule. "You will have to wait to collect the 4s through 9, until the Three Tails is revived, no?" Minato questioned. "Unfortunately, we will collect the beasts even before the Sanbai's resurrection," Itachi replied, tone unwavering. "Pain has found a way to hold the Jinchurikis until their sealing. It seems his patience is wearing thin." "I see," Minato nodded. "You are heading to Suna, correct?" Itachi asked. "Yes, we are," Minato nodded. "Then be very careful," Itachi warned. "If Sasori or Deidara get a wind that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is in Suna, they will not hesitate to act." "I understand," Minato nodded. "One last thing," Itachi said as his whole demeanor seemed to soften. "Yes?" "How is he?" "He is doing well. I placed him on a genin team under Kakashi's tutelage since he is last one to teach him something about the Sharingan," Minato smiled softly. "Has he activated it?" "As far as I know, no, he has not." "Missions?" "You know how it goes, a bunch of D ranks first, then moving up to C ranks, until a Chunin promotion. But you would proud to know he graduated as Rookie of the Year." "Really?" "Yes, he is working hard, but I fear all the hatred will drive him in the wrong direction." "What do you mean, sir?" "From what I hear from Kakashi, he talks a lot about getting stronger. Strong enough to kill a certain man, which I assume is you. I fear this will drive him in wrong path, just to obtain the power to kill you. All that hatred for you seems to be building up inside him." "I know," Itachi took a deep breath. "I told him to hate me, despise me, in order for him to get stronger. But looking back, it was something I wish I had not done. I do want him to kill me. I want to pay for my sins by the hand of another Uchiha, but I came at it from the wrong direction, I suppose." "I suppose so, however we cannot change the past and only he has the power to change the path he is headed down. I can only hope he chooses the right one." "You are right, Hokage-sama," Itachi nodded. "Thank you, Itachi, for warning me about the Akatsuki," Minato nodded in return. Itachi bowed before the Hokage before releasing the Genjutsu and bringing both back to reality. The mental exhausted brought Minato to drop down to his knees only to glance up in time watch Itachi walk away. Just as he was about to head out and find the rest of his company, everything went black. "Hachi! Hachi! Hachi!" By the 10th time Naruto had called out for Kakashi, who was merely sitting next to him, the frustration was starting to show on the blonde's face. A small twitch started to appear above said blonde's left eye, while the silver-haired man sat next to him reading a familiar orange book. Naruto's expression suddenly calmed, then turned to an annoyed expression. "I seen CI," Naruto called sarcastically. "Oh? Naruto, did you say something?" Kakashi looked up from his book with an innocent expression plastered on his face. Naruto breathed out a heavy sigh in frustration. Kakashi and his student had been sitting in a small clearing for about 3 hours, about a 30-minute walk from where the group had left the Yondaime. Although Kakashi wouldn't show his worry for the eldest Namikaze, due to the risk of upsetting the youngest Namikaze, it steadily increased as the time passed, agonizingly slow. Even with Kakashi's worry skillfully hidden beneath the emotionless mask of his, it somehow rubbed off on his student. "Sensei, it's been 3 hours, shouldn't we go check on father?" Naruto's words tasted like vinegar coming out of his mouth. He hated the idea of having to make sure his father was all right after being left with an S-ranked missing nin. Attempting to disguise his worry, Kakashi looked up into the sky with a placid expression to double-check the time based of the sun's position. "I suppose it has been quite a while since we left Minato-sensei. It may be a good idea to check on him." Naruto gave a quick nod in acceptance to his teacher's reply, only to have his hopes smashed a moment later. "I will send Cat and Hawk to check on the Hokage, while you and I remain here," Kakashi explained, throwing a gesture to nowhere in particular, signaling the hidden ANBU to find the Hokage. "What?" Naruto threw his hands up as his frustration with the silver-haired man kept building. A moment later, Naruto's 12-year-old side showed itself, as he crossed his arms and threw himself in a cross-legged position on the ground with a pout on his face. Kakashi inwardly chuckled at the young one's response, only to mentally make a note to teach Naruto to control his emotions while out on a mission. For some reason, he got a sneaky suspicion it was going to be a lot harder than normal. As the silence was eating away at Naruto, Kakashi, acting as if he could care less by reading his porno book, was actually going over the scene from the last time they saw the Hokage. Why had Minato requested to deal with a clan exterminator alone? Why was that man even here? Minato was smart enough to know you don't deal with a genjutsu genius alone. So what was really going on? What were those two men really doing? Was Itachi here to try and obtain Naruto for the Kyuubi, and that why he had the ANBU take Naruto and run? The only way for Kakashi to find out the truth was to ask Minato-sensei himself, when and if the blonde Hokage came back. Naruto was nowhere close to being actually pouting. From living with the Hokage, Naruto knew most of what went on in the village. He knew exactly whom that man was that the eunuch came in contact with. Unknowing to his father, he knew all about the Uchiha massacre, about Itachi Uchiha, and the coup d'etat. Also, Itachi Uchiha was Sasuke's, the last surviving member of the Uchiha clan, older brother. Knowing all of this only made the young genin worry more about his father. A man who was able to slay his entire clan, the Uchiha clan at that, was exceedingly dangerous. Aside from being physically strong, he knew Itachi was a genjutsu genius, and you should never take on a genjutsu alone. There was only two ways to break a genjutsu. One was to release it yourself by stopping your flow of chakra, but that only works on low-level genjutsu. While the other was to have someone else pour his or her chakra into you, releasing the illusion. Either way, his father was alone, and a genjutsu from Itachi could be highly fatal. It made Naruto feel bad about worry for a man, who he should have all the confidence in the world. Not only because it's his father, but also because he is the Hokage. Naruto couldn't help but worry about his father. Kakashi Taishu, an ANBU member by the name of Kat, called formally as she landed in front of the student-teacher combo in a crouched position. "Did you find the Hokage?" Kakashi asked with a serious tone. "Yes, sir," Kat replied. "Where is he located?" Kakashi probed. "He is currently with Hawk and 3 more members that were called as back, up at the location we left him at," Kat explained. "Very well. Is he suitable to travel?" "Sir, you should come see for yourself," Kat hesitated a moment before responding. Kakashi glanced over at the young genin to ensure he was all right. However, the obvious expression of concern covered the boy's face to the point that Kakashi worried about what Naruto might do. Then Kakashi's worst fear came true. Naruto bolted. "Naruto, wait!" Kakashi called, then cursed under his breath and followed suit. Naruto ran as fast as he could while simultaneously stretching out his chakra to find his father. Once he found the familiar sense, he retracted the chakra, remembering the last time he almost choked his father with the potent chakra. Naruto remembered his father instructing him once to push chakra into his feet to boost his speed if he ever needed to. He did exactly that. Surprisingly, his rate almost tripled. Several minutes later, Naruto reached the small clearing where their unit had previously left his father. His heart stopped. Minato was flat out in the center, surrounded by 4 ANBU members, 2 keeping watch while the other 2 kneeled next to him. "To-san!" Naruto cried as he saw his father was out cold. Kakashi reached Naruto a moment later. "Hawk, come restrain Naruto." Doing as he was told, Hawk flashed over to the young blonde and restrained him. Kakashi raced over to his sensei. Minato was out cold, but there was no physical damage. Whatever Itachi did, it was mental. For the first time, Naruto saw Kakashi lift his hitai to reveal a red eye. Naruto stopped struggling against this man called Hawk, and watched in awe. Kakashi forcibly opened Minato's eyes to pull him into a genjutsu, hoping to break whatever spell Itachi had put the young Hokage under. Nothing surprised Kakashi, as this has happened before, however Minato would never give him any details. It was always classified. However, the small genjutsu would break the spell Minato was under. Unknown to Kakashi, Itachi made it so the mental damage inflicted on the Hokage would be fixed by a counter Sharingan jutsu. The eldest Uchiha knew Kakashi, the student and loyal subordinate, had the Sharingan could break the illusion. Not a moment later, Kakashi released Minato and unwillingly patiently waited. The patience paid off when Minato's eyes fluttered open. Kakashi held out his hand with a smirk and pulled Minato up into a sitting position. Naruto felt relief flow through him and forced his way out of Hawk's grasp. Running over to his father, he jumped on him in an extraordinarily strong hug. "To-san," Naruto whispered. Minato responded to this rare sign of affection from his son by pulling him into a strong hug of his own. "I was so worried, To-san," Naruto whispered with a slight waver in his voice. "Naruto, have some confidence in me," Minato chuckled lightly. "But Itachi, he could have killed you," Naruto continued, his voice breaking. "Itachi?" Minato pushed his son away. Reading the vibe around the situation, Kakashi and the other Anbu flew from the site, only to keep a watchful eye on the two blondes. "How do you know that name?" Naruto looked down at his hands. "I'm more observant than you, or anyone else for that matter, thinks I am." "Move observant?" Minato gave his son a questioning look, then chuckled and stood up. "Yes, I know about Itachi and the Uchiha clan and the coup d'etat," Naruto explained. "You do?" Minato raised his eyebrows. "Yes, I overheard you talking to someone about it one night a few years ago. I wanted to know more, so I went searching and found some scrolls about it in your office," Naruto explained sheepishly. "Naruto," Minato paused. He didn't want his son thinking he shouldn't be observant, since it was a trait every shinobi should have. However, there is some information too sensitive for a young genin like him. "How much do you know?" Naruto looked up with a confused, yet smug look on his face. "To-san, it would be easier to tell you what I don't know." Minato took a deep breath and let out a heavy sigh. "You know a lot, huh? How have you been able to get past my seals?" Naruto shrugged. "I don't know exactly. The first time I tried to open one of your seals, I just pushed some chakra through it, and it opened. Since then, that's what I have been doing." "That's all? No hand signs? Chants? Nothing?" Minato replied, taken back by Naruto's answer. "Nope," Naruto shook his head. "Okay, well, when we get back to the village, I will investigate this farther." Minato leaned down, putting his hands on his knees to steady himself, putting his face even with his son's. "I'll make this clear. Do not go in my office without permission again, and that includes any and all of my scrolls. Understood?" "Yes, sir," Naruto nodded. "And Naruto, how come if you know so much, why do you act as if you don't?" Minato asked as he stood back up. Naruto opened his mouth in surprise. Naruto, Minato warned. "Okay," Naruto sighed, "I don't let any know." "And? Why not?" Naruto shrugged, avoiding eye contact. "Well, there has to be a reason, and you need to tell me." Now, Minato demanded, as he was tired of being surprised by Naruto and his actions. Naruto stared at the ground. This might have something to do why no one knew Naruto was my son. Is he purposely hiding his lineage? Minato waited a moment longer before speaking up. "Naruto, you need to tell me. Does this have anything to do with why a great deal of shinobi and villagers didn't know I had a son, let alone that you are my son?" Naruto looked up at his father with an expression that told Minato he hit the nail right on the head. Then Naruto nodded. "Yes." "Are you hiding your lineage? Are you hiding the fact that I am your father?" Minato questioned. The only answer Minato received was a slight nod. Minato expected to feel anger, but what he felt was pain. His heart ached knowing his son was hiding the fact that he was his father. Was Naruto ashamed of him? Was there something he did? When he heard that those shinobi didn't know Naruto was his son, he thought it was because he was being too protective of Naruto. Hiding him from the public too much. Not being seen outside of the house with Naruto. But in the end, Naruto was doing it on purpose? "Naruto, Minato stumbled with his words. Have I done something to make you ashamed of me? I mean, I thought since I was the Hokage, you would be proud of me. Proud to have me as a father. That's not it. I'm hiding because I don't want people to treat me any differently. The few people who knew out in the village treated me well like a celebrity, and I didn't like. I just wanted to be normal, Naruto explained, but with the Kyuubi, I'm the farthest thing from normal. But Naruto, if those shinobi knew I was your father, they wouldn't have treated you that way, Minato exclaimed. I know, Naruto replied quietly. If you knew they why didn't you say anything? Minato was starting to get worried. He didn't know what to think of this situation anymore. Because if I get everything handed to me, then I would be weak. The way they treated me only made me stronger, and it wasn't anything I couldn't handle. I never understood why they treated me that way, but I know now, and besides, if it ever got to the point where I couldn't handle it, I would have told you. Naruto gave Minato an angry look. No offense, but being the Hokage's son isn't all it's cracked up to be, you know. People treat you completely differently, like you're so fragile if they take one wrong step, you'll break. No one would want to spar with me, because they're afraid of hurting the Hokage's son, and if they did they would let me win or go ease on me. It was only making me weak. So you let the shinobi beat you? You let me think that everything was going well for you. That everything was right with the world? Did you not trust me enough to tell me? Minato kneeled in front of Naruto. I don't know. He kept telling me you were so busy with your work, and you seemed stressed, and I didn't want to keep adding to your problems. You were doing so much for me already, and I thought, if I kept coming to you with all my problems, I would be viewed as weak and annoying. I just wanted to handle on my own, Naruto mumbled into his hands. Minato stared at his son. This was the farthest thing he was expecting. However, he has learned that Naruto always did the unexpected. Wait, you said he kept telling you. Who is he? Who kept telling you this? I don't know his name, Naruto shook his head. You don't know his name? What does he look like? Do I know him? Minato questioned. Yeah, Naruto nodded, scratching the back of his head. He's one of your advisors. The guy with the bandages. Danzo? Minato sighed angrily. I think Naruto shrugged. Look, Minato placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. That's all in the past now. It's been taken care of, and I hope you don't still hid your lineage. I want you to be proud to have me as a father, as I am of having you as my son. You, Naruto, are the farthest thing from weak. Hell, you were the top of your class. Don't ever be afraid of coming to me for help. I am the Hokage, and because of that I am busy. But I am your father first and Hokage second. Understood? Minato explained. Naruto only nodded. Minato took a deep breath and continued, I didn't know being the Hokage's son was that difficult. It's not difficult now. Naruto laughed. What? Minato laughed. Well, now that I'm a shinobi and have Kakashi-sensei teaching me, Sasuke and Sakura don't hold back when we fight. Although the shinobi of the village seem to be scared of me, Naruto wondered to himself. That may be my fault, Minato rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. I think I scared the shit out of the shinobi when I punished those who had treated you so badly. Maybe I went overboard, but I wouldn't change what I did. Oh well, being your son in the academy was hard, but it's not now. Plus I wouldn't trade being your son for anyone else. Naruto smiled. If the academy was hard, then why did you continue to refuse to take the graduation exam? Minato wondered aloud. Because it was easier to fool people into believing I was a dead last if I acted like if I took the test I wouldn't pass. Plus I didn't know if I actually took the pass that I would fail if I didn't try. I see, so you just didn't take it, Minato assumed. Yeah, Naruto shrugged, but even if the academy was hard, I think being the Jinchuriki is a lot harder. Well, it's as you said, it only makes you stronger, and I wouldn't trust anyone else with that fox other than you. Minato returned that smile with one of his own, then stood up. Naruto, don't be afraid to come to me for help, no matter what anyone else says, okay? Okay, Naruto nodded. And thank you, Minato leaned down on more time and pulled his son into an embrace. For what? Naruto asked into his father's chest. For opening up to me, Minato replied, you don't know how much it means to me. I want you to trust me, so having you open up to me means you trust me. You are so much like your mother, in the sense that you are stubborn and brash, but you are caring and smart. However, you need to learn to trust others who care about you. You have something about you that makes people want to believe in you, so believe in others too. Not everyone will treat you badly or treat you like you're fragile. Know that. Okay, Tusan, I will try, Naruto replied. Shall we head out? Minato asked, breaking their embrace and standing back up again. Naruto nodded and followed Minato's lead, turning to the direction which they had been previously head. "Oh, Naruto?" Minato said. "Yeah?" "Don't listen to Danzo anymore," Minato said bluntly. "I'll take care of that man when I return." That was the last straw. Naruto nodded and the two blondes started to head out to Suna. They were late as it was. Minato may have speed things up a bit if they are going to make it to Suna by tomorrow afternoon. Sunagakure. Naruto yawned as the duo of father and son neared the village hidden in the sand, otherwise known as Suna. It was getting late, but thanks to Minato and his legendary techniques they made it to Suna earlier than expected. They weren't supposed to arrive until the morning, but Minato didn't believe it was going to be a problem, and if it was, he and his son could camp out one more night. However, Minato was right and it was not a problem that they were early, but the Kazekage could not see him until morning, as the shinobi explained to him as the two entered the large sand village. The Hokage himself knew how tight a Kage's schedule could be, and understood that the Kazekage was busy and nodded to the shinobi to escort him and his son to the inn the Kazekage had reserved for him. Minato asked the shinobi to inform the Kazekage that he had brought his son, and if there were any extra expense for Naruto's presences, he would pay, since he had not informed him that he was bringing one extra person. The sand shinobi nodded and excused himself, leaving Naruto and his father to spend yet another night together. Later on, after both had bathed and ready for bed, Naruto laid on the second bed, the one closest to the window, staring up at the ceiling with his arms crossed behind his head. Minato watched in curiosity out of the corner of his eye, while simultaneously reading scroll. The Hokage sat cross-legged on his own bed. Naruto closed his eyes and took a deep breath, leading to a loud sigh. The hotel room was like any other, plain bed, walls and furniture. One bathroom located in hall of entryway. Two large queen-sized beds took up most of the space in the room, only separated by a single dark nightstand with a single oil lamp in the center. Naruto's pack and its contents were strung across the floor, while Minato's was stacked nicely against the wall across the room. "Naruto?" Minato called, breaking the silence that has hung between them since the Itachi incident. "Yeah?" Naruto called back without looking to his father's direction. "Is something bothering you?" Minato asked, now with full attention on his son, watching and observing his every action. Naruto furrowed his eyebrows slightly as he took a deep breath. The young Namikaze closed his eyes as he let out a loud sigh. "Yeah, but I don't think this is the place to be discussing it." "That important?" Minato asked. "Not important, but sensitive." "Ah, I see," Minato nodded, then chuckled a little, trying to lighten the mood. "Well, whatever it is that is bothering you, try to not worry about it too much, or it will give you ulcers. Besides, we can speak about it when we get home." "Okay, Tusan." Naruto gave a small smile that reassured Minato slightly, but his son still refused to look in his direction. "Can you tell me more about Ka-chan?" Minato laughed quietly. "Sure, what do you want to know?" "Anything, I guess," Naruto shrugged. "Well, I can tell you how excited she was when she found out she was pregnant." Minato smiled sweetly at the memories. "Let's see, it was around January. She started feeling sick after she came home from a mission on evening. She thought nothing of it, but was sick off and on the next couple of days. She was a very stubborn woman, as you know, so I finally convinced her to go see Tsunade." "Who's Tsunade?" Naruto asked, finally turning his head towards his father. "Huh!" Minato blinked, and then realized, "Oh, you've never met Tsunade, have you?" "No, who is she?" Naruto asked. "Oh, she is a very good friend of ours," Minato thought out loud. "She was a teammate of Jiraiya-sensei, she trained your Ka-chan in some medic jutsu, and oh well, Kushina actually named her your godmother." "Godmother?" Naruto exclaimed, suddenly sitting up on his bed. "I have a godmother." "And a godfather too," Minato smiled. "Who?" "Jiraiya-sensei. Who else?" Minato laughed. "Oh, good, I thought you were going to say Kakashi." Naruto laughed. "Nah, Kakashi is more like your brother, rather than a godfather," Minato replied honestly. "A brother?" Naruto asked. "Yes, Kakashi was 5 when he joined my Genin team with Rin and Obito," Minato nodded. 5. Naruto's mouth dropped open. He was 5. "Yes," Minato nodded. "Kakashi was what you would call a prodigy." "Wow," Naruto whispered. "Who is Rin and Obito?" "They were my other students, however both have since passed away," Minato replied solemnly. "Oh," Naruto replied and understood the dramatic change in tone in his father's voice, so he decided not to push the topic. It would remain for another day. "So, after Kakashi lost his father, I was more of a father figure for him," Even if he didn't see it that way until later, Minato chuckled. Really? Naruto adjusted himself so he was sitting on the bed cross-legged facing the other bed. Yes, Minato nodded. I don't think I realized until the night Mizuki threatened you how much Kakashi loves you, Naruto. He rarely shows it, but he does. I know, Naruto smiled. You know? Yeah, it's the way he treats me. I don't think he knows that I notices, Naruto shrugs. You're quite observant, Minato chuckled. Thanks, Naruto chuckled. Let's see, Minato grabbed his chin. Your mom. She was a very unique woman. From her long red hair to her wild personality. Wait. You were telling me about when she found out about me. Naruto pulled Minato to a halt. Oh right, Minato chuckled. She finally went to see Tsunade to see what was going on, and found out she was pregnant with you. She was so excited she ran out the office and straight home. I was in the kitchen making dinner when she arrived. She hadn't even walked through the door before she yelled baby. I came out of kitchen, and she yelled I'm going to be a mother. I was so happy, the first thing I said was I'm going to be a father. I couldn't even begin to imagine how happy Kushina was. As Minato finished, Naruto stayed quiet. The elder stayed quiet, letting Naruto have the moment. Tusan? Yeah? Why were you happy that I was going to be born? Naruto looked up into his father's eyes. Taken back by the question, Minato just stared back at his son. In those large blue eyes, Minato saw his son completely vulnerable for the first time. Minato sighed, because I've always wanted a son. Really? Naruto smiled, signaling to Minato he had said the right thing. What if I was a girl? Minato chuckled, it wouldn't matter. I would love you the same. I guess I should say because I've always wanted a kid. Oh, Naruto said, then became quiet again. Naruto, have you been concerned about my feelings toward you? Minato asked. Naruto shrugged. Minato placed his scroll on the bed and moved to where he was kneeling in front of his son and placed his hands on Naruto's arms. Naruto, I love you. You are my son and you are the most important thing in the world, understand? Naruto nodded. Do you know why I brought you with me to Suna? Minato asked. Naruto shook his head. Because I didn't trust the village enough to leave you there for a week by yourself, especially since Jiraiya-sensei isn't in town yet, Minato answered. Ero-sennin is coming to the village. Naruto's face lit up. Minato chuckled, yes. Yay! Naruto exclaimed. So, it's getting late. Let's head to bed, shall we? Minato asked. Sure, Naruto nodded and did as his father asked. Naruto fell asleep fast like he normally does, but Minato laid wide awake. His mind filled with all sort of scenarios of what could come tomorrow, and worries of his son. The same shinobi who dropped them off at the inn the night before, now lead the two blondes through the halls of the Kage Tower. Naruto stuck tight to his father, which only made his father both worry more and relax a little. Kakashi followed closely behind the two, which comforted Naruto. The group made their way to the large office that looked over the village. The shinobi stopped before a large door with the kanji for Sandovan written in red. Kazekage-sama, the shinobi called, the Hokage is here to see you. Enter. The gravely voice called back. The shinobi opened the door and stepped back, allowing Minato, his son and Kakashi to step through. The large office reminded Minato a lot of his own. The office overlooked the village with the large wall of round windows behind the large wooden desk. The Kazekage sat behind the large desk with his elbows on top of the green cloth that was laid across and his fingers crossed in front of his face. He had a scowl on his face, and his short red hair ruffled about almost as untamed as Minato's. To his left stood two young children, one a young girl slightly older than Naruto, with short dirty blonde hair into four pigtails wearing a simple black tunic and slacks, the other being a slightly older boy with shaggy brown hair wearing a black tunic with lower cut revealing a net underneath paired with simple black slacks. The older boy was wearing a similar scowl to the Kazekage. To the right stood a young boy, about Naruto's age. This young boy caught Minato's attention. He hovered over himself holding a large teddy bear tightly to his chest. He was wearing a simple green shirt with a cream-colored pullover in a poncho style. His hair was similar to the Kazekage's in the red-colored untamed mess that it was. Something about this boy made Minato's interest spike. Welcome to Suna, Hokage-sama, the Kazekage said as he sat up straight. Thank you, Kazekage-sama, Minato nodded. I hope this meeting is successful. As I do, the Kazekage nodded in return. Let me introduce my children. The eldest is Kankuro, my daughter Tamari, and my youngest Gara. Minato nodded toward each child as they bowed when their name was called. Minato then turned towards his son that was still stuck to the sides of both himself and Kakashi. This is my son, Naruto. The Kazekage nodded towards the young boy. I see. I purpose we send the children to another room so we can start our discussion. I will see that my shinobi keep an eye on them. Yes, I agree, but if you do not mind, I would like to send Kakashi here with Naruto. Minato waved towards the tall silver-haired man, for my own personal reassurance and Naruto's comfort. That is fine, the Kazekage nodded, then signaling for a shinobi to lead his children and Naruto along with Kakashi. As soon as the children were gone, the Kazekage waved for Minato to sit down. The heaviness of the air weighed down on both Kages. They had only recently been out of war, and even though Suna and Konoha weren't directly at war with each other, it still made anyone